up the button, share it, turn the music down a little, and make sure that it's not. That should probably be good there. And let me fix my screen so that I can be sure all the things are doing. Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. We're creating color mana options for Dungeons & Dragons 5.5e. Magic the Gathering is owned, as is D&D, is owned by Wizards of the Coast. And they've released a couple of the Magic the Gathering worlds as Dungeons & Dragons settings. So, but they didn't use any color mana elements, which is what makes Magic the Gathering so cool. So we're fixing that by creating our own color mana system. Let me fix my background here. There we go. If you find today fun, thank you. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. I've been doing this for a while. Here are a slew of books that are on the DMsGuild where I publish my work. They all have 100% free previews, so be welcome to check this stuff out. The color mana system is already published, 6 books in total, but now that the 5.5 rules exist, we want to update everything, and I've ran 3 full campaigns from level 1 to 20 using these systems, so it's evolved. It's a living document. I come through and I update it every 9 to 15 months, and it's time for another big revision, so we're going through the process of completely rebuilding the character classes so that they are focused. So they have the features that they have from the player's handbook that we are used to, but they are changed so that they assume you're using a mana system instead of spell slots. Mana is basically it's a 1-to-1 point ratio. Hold on, I'll fetch it to you. We're gonna play with we are going to play with Druid today. So I'm going to clickety here and then Druid. Let's go find the Druid. Doo-doo. Waiting to get there, buddy. Druid, looking for you, buddy. You're around here somewhere. It's cleric. There we are, Druid. Thank you. So instead of spell slots, we get mana. We start with 2 mana at first level. It costs 1 mana to cast a first level spell. If you were to add up all the spell slots that you got as a 20th level wizard, the answer would be 89. So instead, we drop you down to 80. A 9th level spell costs 9 points. There you go. So if you want to cast a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level spell, it's going to cost you 30 out of your 80 mana. It's a big chunk of change. We also introduce a 10th level spell slot at 19th level casting. This is where Wish is now. Wish is no longer a 9th level spell with this system. It is a 10th level spell that lets you duplicate anything that comes before it. As a action. It's just a wish spell, but now it's 10th level instead of 9th, and it lets you do all the stuff underneath it. You can cast as many 1st to 5th level spells that you want. Cantrips cost 0 mana. Common magic is up to 5th level, and that can be cast with short rest or long rest mana, basically. And then level 6 and above can only be cast with long rest mana. So cha-cha-cha, and you can cast a number of 6+ level spells equal to your max spell level minus 5. So at 11th level as a full caster, you would have access to 6th level spells, and you would be able to cast it once, because 6 minus 5 equals once a day. It will cost me 6 mana once a day. There you go. This is called high magic, and then epic magic is even 10th level as a wish is still high magic. At 20th level, with the wish spell, you can permanently sacrifice mana to permanize effects, either that change the world or change your character or your allies. But you can basically, I want to make this change to the world, and the DM will tell you how much mana they think it's worth, if possible, to make that change. And he's like, yeah, this will cost you 80 mana. It's like, okay, that's my whole wad. Here you go. And it will guarantee that it happens pretty much the way that the player imagines it, with no tomfoolery from the DM. That's why the DM sets the price. This is how much it's going to cost you for you to do this the way that you want to without me fucking with it. So it's a fun system. It's at level 20 when you're into your campaign anyway. And it introduces the idea of permanently destroying mana to produce permanent effects in the world, which opens the door to why are the gods the gods? Because they have infinite mana that they can permanently burn and destroy to create different effects in the world. Like Moradin burns 10 million mana, destroys it, and as a result of it creates the dwarven species. And now he is the god of dwarves because he expended all this mana to produce them. You have clerics have followers, and warlocks have their patrons. The patrons and the gods have access to mana that they can then give to their followers, or their contractee, and so they give them one or 2 points at the beginning, and then depending on how far up the ladder they get, they stack it basically up to 40 times. Like you start with 2 and you go with 80. That's a 40-time return of investment for a druid spirits, the nature spirits to imbue into this druid. As a result of it, it's creating more magical power in the world, invested and developed through this mortal creature. So that's the idea behind it. It creates this backdrop frame of reference for like, where is this mana coming from and what can actually be done with it. And that also gives you a power scale of mortal versus gods and spirits, where mortals have to harness this mana and recycle it and recover it and rest to have it back, while gods just have a black the American Express black card. It's like it has no limit on it. It is basically infinite wealth. It just has to get paid off somehow. And they have all of these clerics, and the warlocks have the patrons have the otherworldly beings have their warlocks, all creating and cultivating mana for them to then be able to cash in and then expend to do more god stuff. So in the natural world around us, the druids and fae, they're the ones that are developing and harnessing and growing mana that then gets recycled back by nature when their essence returns to the spirit realm. They bring that mana with it and infuse the elemental planes, the ethereal and primaterial planes with that magical essence. The gods then exist outside of that natural space in the outer planar shell, and they're receiving the souls of all these creatures that have died, and they're carrying with them their mana. And when you have all character classes in the game converted into a singular mana resource, it doesn't matter what character you are, you're going to, like, half-casters and marshals only have a 1 to 20 return ratio because they're half-casters. So you only get 20 mana back for every 1 point of mana you put out to the marshals and the half-casters. But for full casters that really just dive in deep, it's a 40-point return of investment. So, and then the wizards, they create the mana themselves. They aren't relying on nature, gods, or contracts to get mana into their system. They figure out how to do it through study and meticulous formula that helps them pull the energy to themselves. They're basically stealing from the environment, which leads into Preserver and Defiler magic from Dark Sun. So I'm really looking forward to see if WotC pulls the trigger on Dark Sun later, because that feeds into how wizards are harnessing that power either dangerously and they damage the planet, so they get into a conflict with the druids and spirits, or if they're a preserver that pulls the magic in and they can actually then sequester that magic from the spirit realm itself, and then, like druids, just reinfuse it. But instead of using a druidic spell list, they're using the sorcerer, the wizard spell list. So that's Dark Sun. And then there's a scion that develops their inner self, just like the monk does, and develops their focus, which is very similar to what the wizards do with their mana pool. Those three classes specifically are basically using focus points in different ways. The Scion, the wizard, and the monk. So there you go. Barbarians generally are pulling it from primals. Fighters develop it themselves, so that's also another focus class. Druid, rogues as well, focus class. So that's 5 focus, foci classes. The Artificer is a 6th. That's a focus class. And the Paladin is either spirit or gods. Ranger is spirit. Barbarian is spirit. Or gods if you're a zealot, so you can go either way with those. The Sorcerer, they don't technically develop it themselves. It's in their blood. So they're infused with the blood of the supernatural creatures that naturally produce mana for themselves as well, basically from the spirit realm. So I guess in a way, sorcerers are nature's spirit energy that's infused in them instead of sequestered. So anyway, that's the different stuff. So since we have mana as our resource, let's rebuild the Druid. So we've taken, this is all in Creative Commons. So the entire class scaffold is 100% free, copyright free. I'll just make sure I include a Creative Commons comments in there. And also we use the DMsGuild stuff. Since it's going to be on the DMsGuild, it has to comply with the DMsGuild. So it will only be published on the DMsGuild, but this is not the final product. This is just our playtest content. If you're interested in tagging along, though, or even playtesting this stuff, God bless you. Let me pull out my my window here because the playtest document is, hi guys, my playtest document is right here. Color Mana Spell Test Document. Whoop. Here you go. And the Color Mana system that's already published. Which we showed here. That's at that link. And so we're updating. These already exist, but I've used them so much since being published, and the new 5e2, the new 5.5 rule set that warrants a new build, rebuilding the books. Plus, I want to redo some of the artwork. So I am very much looking forward to carrying forward. Let's fix all that. That's good. Okay, great. So we're going to start with the Druid. Let's open up our window here for the Druid so we can see our features. How many wild shapes do we end up with? We end up with, I should get that up to 5. Okay. Okay, so one of the philosophies here is the Bastion turn long rest, where every 7 days is a Bastion turn. And you get 1 long rest per Bastion turn, and then every night of sleep that you take, that is a short rest. This is also called gritty realism, or sheltered rest. There's a couple different ways of calling it, but I just call it Bastion turns. So using a Bastion turn, our full caster would only get mana back once per week, but we have 7 days till we get there. So if we give every subclass, every full caster the ability to recover mana when you take a short rest, that allows them to keep feeding mana over the course of a week and not get completely burned out. Half casters, all of the half casters using the martial power system, the Artificer, including the Warlocks, Pact Mana, Paladin, Ranger, and then the Fighter, Barbarian. We'll look at the Fighter later on today, but the Fighter, Barbarian, Rogue, and the Monk, they all get mana back on a short rest. One mana per level. So at 3rd level, you get 3 mana back per short rest. A 3rd level Druid would have 8 mana and would get 2 mana back per short rest. So over the course of 7 days, that's going to be 7 times 2, that's 14, plus 8, that's 22. And over the course of 7 days, a short rest martial or half caster would end up with 21 mana back. So using 7 days for your long rest, or a Bastion turn as your long rest with a short rest every night of sleep, actually at almost all levels, gives the half and martial characters about the same amount of mana over the course of a week that the full casters get. It's actually pretty fucking cool. So we want to make sure that all of the spellcasters have a means of recovering mana. And in the case of the Bard, they get Bardic Inspiration back on a short rest. And they get as many as equal to their Charisma modifier. So by 13th level, they'll have, but for sure, they'll have a 20 in their Charisma. So they'll get 5 Bardic Inspiration back every short rest. And each Bardic Inspiration can be converted into 2 points of mana. So pretty much at the very beginning, like by level 4 plus, they could be getting back. It's at 5th level that flips over. Starting at level 5 plus, they could be getting back 10 mana per short rest. And at 5th level, the Bard would have, 15? 16. They'd already have 16 mana. So the Bard up front gets a fuck ton of mana that they eventually get back. The Sorcerer, I believe, is the same way. But the Bard is either using that mana for more Bardic Inspiration, or they're using it for more mana. And they can use their entire mana pool 2 points at a time for as many Bardic Inspiration points as they want. So your 20th level Bard packing 80 mana and getting 5 Bardic Inspiration per short rest, they end up having 150 mana over the course of 7 days that they can expend. Or they could use Bardic Inspiration 75 times to modify people's die rolls. So it just depends on how you want to use your mana pool. So with the Druid, I want to make sure that the Druid has a number of wild shapes equal to 5. So we have to increase the amount of wild shapes that we get. We start with 2, we get with 3, and then there's a long stupid stretch to 4. Instead, we're going to make that 5. And let's just drop in here like at level 11. What would that be? 5 levels later, and then 6 levels later, it's 5. Yeah, okay. This is fine. So bam, there you go. And we also give you another cantrip at 19th level. Same level you get your 10th level wish spell. Druids get the wish spell. They are beseeching the spirits of nature to fulfill their wish. The more nature inclined it is, the more of a bargain the DM can work out with them to work it the way that they want. If they want to create a magic item that has nothing to do with druidism at all, then it might be more expensive to have that item at the snap of a fingers than it would be if it was some sort of druidic object. So anyway, there you go. Bob's your uncle. But yes, so now the druid gets all their, by 5th level, they get their wild shape back on a short rest as well. So they too will end up at 20th level with 150 mana that they can either spend all on spell casting, or they could wild shape 75 times. I think in what was it? Honor of Thieves. I believe the amount of times that was it Doran, the druid, during the heist scene where she was spying on the Mordenkainen's seal. I believe she wild shaped 7 times, and you can start doing that, I believe, at 5th level. And she's got 16 mana at 5th level and can wild shape twice. So technically, you'd be able to wild shape. If all you're doing today is going to be wild shaping for some sort of crazy Doran style heist scene, you could do it 10 times. Because you get 2 mana here, and then each of these 16 can be broken down by 2 points each. So you can change wild shape, 10 times over the course of one long rest. So using that mana system, Doran could easily have done what she had done in Honor Among Thieves, which was awesome. And she was a deer. So I love that. I think that's super fun. This system supports that. What we're trying to do is this mana resource now becomes a resource that you can use for stuff. A barbarian, for instance, accumulates mana on a short rest, 1 per level, and a druid gets long rest mana and some wild shapes, but all of that mana goes into the same mana pool. A 5th level barbarian, 5th level druid would have 16 from druid, 5 from barbarian, so 21 mana plus the 2 that you're getting, the 4 that you get from the wild shaping. So that's a total of what was that? 25 mana that the 10th level 5 barbarian, 5 druid would get over a long rest. And that druid, that barbarian also gets rage, which is worth only 1 point apiece because short rest, first level. 1 point apiece. So, but they have 3 rages at 5th level. So that's 28 mana that they have. You can spend 1 point for extra rages, 2 points for extra wild shapes. And with 28 mana, that's 3 apiece. You could wild shape and rage at the same time as a barbarian 9 times per long rest. So there you go. If that's all you want to use your mana for as a barbarian, you can just pick up a shitload of, like, prepare a bunch of feats, so you don't have to use your mana for anything other than wild shaping and raging as a barbarian, right? So this is helping reinforce that mechanical concept of these class combinations that complement each other, while still keeping like separation of power. Like marshals and spellcasters, they use the same resource, but like martial powers and spellcasting are completely different machinery. The mana supplies to both of them, but you can be awesome at one, awesome at the other, or be okay at both of them. And the half-casters get access to both martial powers and full casting, and basically splits between the two of them. So the Gishes, the half-casters, and the Warlock actually do have the best of both worlds. Half-casters up to 5th level for both. Warlock can use martial powers and spellcasting up to 5th level with Pact mana. And then if you stay as a single class Warlock by level 11 plus, you start getting your Mystic Arcanum. And we'll look at the Warlock later. But you get your, like, so the Warlock is like your full caster Gish. And then you have the 3 half casters, Artificer, Ranger, and Paladin. They're all up to 5th level, both power and spellcasting together, using the same prepared list. So you're either going to prepare a bunch of spells, prepare a bunch of powers and feats, or some of both. However you want to build your combo. And then the marshals only get martial powers. So they're either going to load up on a bunch of mana abilities or combat feats, using or not using their mana pool either to keep using their class features over and over again, or leaning into getting rid of their class features and dumping all that mana into punching powers, or any kind of mix you want. So you have these different ways that you can spend your mana, the things that you prepare, and the resources that you use from your class features, all using that mana pool in different ways. So having said all that, we just wanted to get the Druid on track so that they get their 5 wild shapes, 17th level. That feels good. Let's go through the rest of the features. Druidic. Now, you know Druidic, the secret language of druids, and you always have the Speak with Animals spell prepared. See Player's Handbook for additional details. Spell casting, total cantrip, spells, mana as on the table above. You can swap one cantrip when you gain a level. You can swap all prepared spells when you finish a long rest. Casting a spell costs 1 mana per level of spell. When using color mana, only 1 point of mana needs to be devoted to one of the colors of the spell. Any additional mana could be any color. When you finish a short or long rest, you can swap colors for any amount of mana that remains in your pool. For rules about duration and concentration, you can see the free preview of the color mana spell point variant rules that are on the DMsGuild, which are linked here, which I showed you is linked here. They all have 100% free previews. So be welcome. Check that stuff out. If you want to support me, I'll be building these books over the next year, doing game mechanics in the evenings, and then in the morning I do the artwork for the books. So like and subscribe and follow along if you want to watch all that. You're not limited to casting 1 spell with mana. I explained this last session because you don't need free spell points. You don't need free castings of spells when you have a mana pool. So instead of allowing you to cast 1 spell and a bonus spell in the same round, as long as one of them didn't require a spell slot, we get rid of that rule, because obviously it's okay for you to cast both a magic action and a bonus action in the same round. They're just linking that option to the bonus spells, because the bonus spells is the crutch they use because spell slots are too restrictive. Because if you want to play Nightcrawler as a Warlock Archfey, you'll get Charisma bonus worth of free castings of Misty Step. But then as a Warlock at 5th level, you'll have 5 castings of it from your Charisma, and then you only get to cast it 2 more times. So you can cast it a total of 7 times, and you're cashed out. Yeah, and then you get another 5 of them back. 5th level. You get another. No, it was 5 and 5. That'd be a total of 10 at 5th level. And then with the Warlocks, with the spell slots as they work with the Pact Magic, you would at best have 9 by what? 15th level? No, it's 9th level. 19th level, you finally get 9 castings of it, because I think you get your 4th Pact Mana slot at 17th level, and then the 5 Charisma bonus. That's a total of 9 castings of Misty Step. Unless you can somehow get your Charisma higher than 20, which isn't guaranteed. Alternatively, with the system that we have, with the short rest mana, by 17th level, you can be casting it 9 times. By 18th level, you can cast. No, that's right, because the Archfey will reduce the cost of it. Instead of giving you free castings of it, and we instead reduce the cost to 1. So by 10th level, by 5th level, you would be able to cast it 5 times, which isn't as much as the spell slot initially, because the spell slot initially could do 2 at 5th level, and with us, you can do 5, so there's a little bit less there. But by 10th level, you'd only be able to use it 7 times with spell slots, and you can use it 10 times now with the spell point system that we have. And once you get to 11th level, you can use your Arcanum points. Instead of casting high magic, you can just use it for common magic. So by 20th level, you get 40 extra long rest mana on top of the 20 pack mana that you get. So you'd be able to cast Misty Step a total of 60 times in a long rest and get another 20 uses every time you take a short rest. Bam! So, I mean, it's really, really nice. So it's a really good compensation. So there is no problem with bonus action and magic action casting spells in the same round. We know that you get free castings of it because spell slots are too granular. Because casting Misty Step with a 5th level spell as a Warlock sucks. So they give you a bunch of kicker effects to go along with it, which you don't need. You don't need kicker effects for free. You can make them cost a point each. So if you want to do 3 or 4 things, yeah, it'll end up costing you 4 or 5 mana to do it. But you've added all of these things to it a la carte. When you teleport, you've got like 5 things that you could add on to it if you wanted to. And you have the spell points to be able to actually do that. So you could do 10 castings of Misty Step with all the features that Fey Wandering can do for the same amount of Fey Step that a 20th level spell slot Warlock could use with only 1 option or maybe 2 options at a time, but only 9 times total. So this is a more granular system that's designed to milk spell points from you, so that you having a bunch of spell points is good, and you're going to still be mana starved. To do all the awesome stuff that you want, you're going to have to be smart about how you use your spell points, or you can go supernova and do a whole bunch of cool shit in short order. It just depends on how you tempo your game, which has always been the problem. So the long rest, Bastion turn, and then 7 days of short rests in between, that's actually a really good way to tempo if you only have 1 or 2 resource draining events per day. Over the course of a week, that'll end up being 14 things that you could burn anywhere from 2 to 9 points per round of accomplishing, or per encounter. If it only lasts, like, say 3 rounds, that's going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 mana that you're spending per round on average until you've cashed the thing out, which is actually a decent tempo. So, Primal Order. You've dedicated yourself to one of the following secret roles of your choice. Magician. When you know 1 extra cantrip from the Druid spell list, and your wisdom modifier gets added to intelligence checks. You gain proficiency in martial weapons and medium armor. No mention of metal anymore, not necessary, but it's a fun stigma that you can choose to apply to your characters if you wish, but it's not assumed or required. It never was. It used to be in 5th edition, but 5.5, it's already not assumed that you have to do that. That was a WotC change, a good one too, in my opinion. Primal Order, we just talked about that. Wild Shape, you gain the Wild Shape class feature as detailed in the player's handbook. I'm not going to just duplicate all of those rules here. You don't need to. They're in the Creative Commons, so this will probably actually link through. This will either link through to the PHP on DMs, it'll probably be the free rule set on D&D Next. Is probably the most respectful way for me to reference that in the document. So that's what we'll do. We'll actually link to that link where it says Wild Shape in the free content on D&D Net, D&D Beyond. Sorry, right? Yeah. That's what we'll do. Wild Companion, you can cast Find Familiar as described in the player's handbook by expending a use of your Wild Shape feature. Casting a spell this way has a duration equal to your Wild Shape feature. Druidic subclasses come in at level 3, 6, 10, 14, the standard array for subclass options. Feet 4, 8, 12, 16, standard array as normal. Did I fix my... Yeah, everything's doing good. Wild Resurgence, here we go. Yeah. So this is, during your turn, you can expend 2 mana to regain a use of your Wild Shape feature, no action required. And you can sacrifice a use of Wild Shape to regain 2 mana. You can't overcharge your mana pool, but as your mana pool burns down, you can sacrifice Wild Shapes to refresh it, like we were talking about. Elemental Fury, gain one of the following abilities: potent spell casting, add your Wisdom modifier to cantrip damage. Primal Strike, once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon or beast form's attack in Wild Shape, you can cause the target to take an extra D8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. Choose the one when you hit. Elemental Fury, 15. Option you choose for Elemental Fury grows more powerful as detailed below. Potent casting, when you cast a druid cast with a range of 10 feet or greater, spell range increases to 300, and Primal Strike is now 2d8 extra damage. Beast spells. This is a glam up for the beast form. So when you're playing a tiger that does 2d6 damage at what? 7th level? No, 4th level? I think that's when you get, yeah. At 4th level, it does 2d6 damage, and it never gets better. So 2d6, and then 2d6 plus d8 at 7th. So from 2 to 7, that's 5 levels. And then 7 levels later, it bumps to 2d6 for the Tiger Strike Rend. The Tiger's Rend attack, plus the extra 2d8. So you're doing not horrible damage. The tiger only gets to attack once. It automatically trips you, but it only attacks once. So, not so great. So, a druid, unless you really want that sweet, sweet high-level magic, a druid is not a bad option by 11th level to dip out of druid and go into either barbarian or ranger, depending on which path you want to follow, like ranged or melee. It's basically how you want to break that down. You could go paladin as well if you wanted to, but all of them would allow you to use their different strike powers while you're wild shaped. So they can just run around using their mana pool again to rage, mark targets, and beast form. Rawr. Anyway, there you go. Elemental Fury, just talked about that. Elemental Fury times 2, just talked about that again. Oh yeah, beast spells. In addition, when using Wild Shape, oh, that's little 18. Why'd your font get small there, buddy? What font are you? 14. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with these features. Just that wild shape, that 5th wild shape was the one missing component that we needed to fix on this guy, really. Beast spells at 18, Wild Shape. You can cast spells in beast form, except for any that have material components with a cost specified or that is consumed as material components. Archdruid 19, Epic Boon, sure. 20th level Archdruid equals Evergreen Wild Shape. Whenever you roll initiative and have no uses of Wild Shape left, you regain 1 expended use of it, and which again can just be converted into 2 points of mana each if you wanted to. Longevity, the primal magic that you wield causes you to age more slowly. For every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year it shares. Okay, cool. So that's that. You know, Bob's your uncle. I'm really happy with these things. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we'll get into the subclasses, and then we'll move into the fighter, and we'll walk through all this stuff again from a martial powers perspective instead of spellcasting perspective. Okay, Druid subclasses. 1, 2, 3. Druids gain all their subclass features with the below modifications. If a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged as written in the player's handbook. Link to D&D Beyond. Circle of Land. Circle Land spells. 3, 5, 7, 9. So again, color mana. Like a 3rd level spell costs 3 mana. If, like, say it's a Fireball. Fireball is a red spell. Each point of mana is devoted to 1 color. So if I have 10 mana, I could have all 10 be red mana. I could have 5 red, 5 white. I could have 3 white, 3 blue, 3 red, 1 green. If I spend all my green, only that 1 point of green mana, that means I can only cast 1 green spell. I'm now out of green mana. I can't cast any green spells until I take a short rest or a long rest. And any mana in my mana pool, I can change the color to anything else that I want. So I burned that. I had, like I said, I take a short rest. I'm going to get, say, 4 mana back from Wild Shaping. So I now have 10 mana back. And I could change that so that instead of having 3 white, 3 blue, 3 red, and then 1 green, I could instead make it 5 red and 5 green. I don't plan on doing anything with white and blue, but these bonus spells, they don't need color at all. You can cast any spell that you want. If it's a bonus spell, it can be any color that you want. Oh, here we have it configured like we were looking at the cleric yesterday. We have the 5 subclasses that we're including, which is light for whites, knowledge for blue, trickery for black, war for red, and nature for green. 5 colors. The wizard that we'll be looking at later has the 5 traditions of magic: white, blue, black, red, green. And now with druid, we're seeing the 5 terrains that we're using for the different land circles is plains of white, islands of blue, swamps of black, mountains of red, and forest of green, with the corresponding spells that go along with them, just basically plucking these spells. So yeah, there you go. So those are our spells. You get them. I could choose to be a plains druid. I can change this whenever. Yeah, I can change that whenever I finish a long rest. So I could be a plains druid right now, and I'll get free access to these spells. But like, say I'm a Golgari character, which uses only black and green mana. I'm going to be a plains druid today, so I'll have access to these spells to reflect the flavor of white in the plains, but I'll be able to cast them with either black or green mana because they're bonus spells. I can always cast them with whatever color I want. I'm just adding these labels here to notate the color difference, just like we did with Cleric up above. So, at level, we get our circle spells. We get a lot of them, so that's all we get for 3rd level. Natural recovery at 6. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can recover expended mana equal to the maximum level spell you gain as a druid. For example, a 13th level druid can recover 7 mana this way. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again. So you can get a truckload of mana back as a circle cleric. Let's double check to see what happens for the circle cleric at 6, because we're already getting mana back from the wild shapes that we get, like the moon druid. wouldn't have access to this feature. But let's double check this. Yeah, we're not going to copy all this wild shape stuff. That's just reference to PHP. It's still good. Yeah, land. I believe that's true, though. I believe that's what this guy does. When you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your druid level. Round up, for example, if you're a level 6 druid, you can recover up to 3 levels worth of spell slots, or in this case for us, 3 mana. Okay, no, we already get the wild shape resource back. So instead, we're gonna go reference the Warlock rules. So let's drop down to the Warlock. We're gonna borrow its magical cunning ritual. I think that's where it's at. Changing your prepared spells, magical cunning. There we go. Copy. Remove. Copy that. Go into copy that. Let's go into Notepad 0 8 beep beep. There. You can perform. You can commune. With the spirits of nature for 1 minute. At the end of it, you regain expended pact mana. You regain an amount of mana equal to the max spell level gained as a druid. Period. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Because we already have the resource that gives us back mana on a short rest in the form of the wild shapes. We just spent time talking about that. So this feature is allowing us to double dip into that. I think it's fair compensation that you can do this once per long rest and swap out all your spell capabilities. So I feel that's fair and balanced. So I'm sticking to that. You can fight me over it, but if you do so on my Discord. You are welcome to join. We do playtesting there. I offer support to DMs that want to use these systems in their own campaign. To test them out for themselves. Be welcome to join, ask questions, be welcome. We do playtesting on Saturday at 12:30 afternoon Eastern time for about 3 or 4 hours, depending on where we're at. We're currently doing rugby, D&D 5.5E rugby combat PvP, where we are using the 5e game system with spellcasting, martial powers, and characters to make rugby athletes that use spells and powers to beat each other up and try to score points by throwing a ball at a goalpost. You hit the goalpost, you score a point. Whoever ends with the most points at the end of the game is the winner, and it's super fucking fun. It is the most fun I've ever had doing PvP, because you can kill each other, and if you kill somebody, it's all temporary damage. So you can kill somebody and they're just unconscious until somebody either gives them a hit point or like helps them recover to get that 1 hit point back. Then they're back up and running in the match again. So death is temporary, and when you score a point, all temporary hit points are washed away. Everyone's back to 100 hit points, back to their set position for starting the next match or the next round. And then the ball is released, and then you guys start using your initiative order to either try to get the ball and score a point, or kill each other and then casually pick up the ball and score a point, and then it resets and whoever has the most points at the end. So it's a PvP game where combat is not the top priority. In fact, if you are horrible at beating up your enemy, rerouting your strategy to be score a point as quickly as you can before they can kill me, or kill these guys before they can score a point, and then we will score a point over their dead bodies, and then they recover and we're back at it. That's like Olympic Mage Tower. If you want to play Street Mage Tower, then the cuts are for real, man. If you die in Mage Tower, you die in real life. Like that Street Tower. But anyway, I digress. Now, it's super fun. That's what we're doing with this mana system. We're playing 12th level this Saturday. So build a 12th level character. If you want to use martial powers and color mana, awesome. I will coach you. If you just want to throw together a normal D&D Beyond character at level 12, either using 5e or 5.5, your choice. Just come with a character, and we'll drop you into roll 20, give you a token, and let's tear it up. Be welcome to join. So natural recovery, we have resolved that. There we go. Once you regain an amount equal to the max spell level gained as a druid, once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So it's basically at level 6, that's an extra 3 points of mana that you get. It's a free 3rd level spell casting. Cheers. Nature's Ward, 10th level, you are immune to poison, and you have resistance to 1 damage type associated with your current land choice. You can change which type of damage you have resistance to when you finish a long or short rest by expending 2 mana, no action required. So here's the types of damage that are associated with each color. Just for more, here, we can go down here to the list, and we can peel open Revise Color Mana. And we'll go to the free preview. It'll pop open our PDF. Five colors: white, blue, black, red, green. Here are some different tags and descriptors that explain what each color kind of represents in the world of D&D. But more important to the conversation right now are the 10 types of magical damage. BPS it's not devoted. It doesn't matter what the color is. If your spell does BPS, it's probably got some other color signature on it. But these are the damage types associated generally with each color. Acid is black-green, and poison is also black-green. If you look at 10,000 Magic the Gathering cards, if they deal poison damage or acid, or like related to acid somehow, chances are like 99% of the time there's going to be black or green magic that you're looking at. So like fire's always red. All but like 3 cards are that are lightning are red. Most of these are just common sense stuff. So, but it just happens to work out that each damage type has each color has 4 types of damage that they are devoted to. So when we look at our table here, if I'm playing a plane, if even though I'm Golgari using black green mana, if I'm currently if I'm currently aligned with white magic of the plains, these are the damage types that I can have resistance to. Cold, Force, Psychic, Radiant. Blue, you can read it here. Cold, Force, Psychic, Thunder. Swamp is Acid, Necrotic, Poison, Psychic. Mountain is Fire, Forest, Lightning, Thunder. And Forest is Acid, Cold, Poison, Thunder. So there you go. So on a short rest, on a long rest, if I become aligned with plains, white magic, then every time I take a long or short rest while aligned with white, I can choose one of these types of damage to have resistance to. I'm always resistant to poison, so green and swamp kind of like get a non-bow going on here, but there's still a lot of value all throughout, so cheers. 14, Nature Sanctuary. I'm not seeing any needs for any further adjustment on these. That's what I expect. This is like the 4th time we've combed through this and play tested these things. So at this point, there's very little changes that need to happen. It's mostly just eyeing for balance and looking for trouble. Like natural recovery, that needed to get fixed because all druids get mana back on a short rest. So if I doubled that for the land, that would become a very obvious dominant choice. We had to trim that back a little bit so it wasn't outrageous amounts of mana. Yeah, there you go. Let's get rid of this. Nature Sanctuary, there we go. Sanctuary 14, magic action. Expend the use of your wild shape and cause leyline energy to appear in a 15-foot cube on the ground within 120 feet of yourself. You and your allies have half cover while in that area, and your allies gain the current resistance of your nature's ward while there. As a bonus action, you can move the cube up to 60 feet to ground within 120 feet of yourself. Cheers. Is that all it does? As a 14th level feature, that's kind of a meh. I'm not gonna shake my stick at it because you get a lot of fucking spells and you get extra mana, so I'm not fighting it. But what else can you do? Last 1 minute. They last there. As a magic action, you can spend a use of your wild shape and cause spectral trees and vines to appear in a 15-foot cube on the ground within 120 feet of yourself. They last there for 1 minute or until you have the incapacitating condition or die. You and your allies have half cover while in that area, and your allies gain the current resistance to your nature's ward. As a bonus action, you can move the cube. So they last there for 1 minute or until you have the incapacitated condition. They last there. Huh. Thanks for checking this stuff out with me, guys. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's see. The effect lasts for 1 minute. You can expend an additional. Nah, there's no need because you can just trigger it again and again as a magic. I was about to say you can have it as a sustained concentration effect, but nah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. That's good enough. 2 mana, 1 minute. This effect lasts up to 1 minute. Cool. Circle of the Moon. Moon. Level 3, Druid spells. Here we go. So again, Golgari, black, green mana. Selesnya, white, green mana. Is that blue, red mana? I don't necessarily think that in a Zet Druid is like super intuitive. But there's nothing that says you can, that doesn't say you can do that. So, yeah, it doesn't break any rules for an Azet character to be a druid. It seems off flavor. So you're gonna have to create an interesting backstory that explains why you don't have any green. Like maybe you have a mechanical device that transforms you into the animal that you have. So like it has a mecha appearance to it maybe, to represent the blue-red vibe of Izette's machinery instead of, being natural. Anyway, having said that, regardless of what your color or devotion is, you can cast these spells with any color mana that you want because they're your bonus spells. They aren't restricted to what colors are they actually devoted to. It's one of the nice benefits of bonus spells, which is why we've given every single subclass 10 bonus spells, powers, or combination between the two in the case of the Ranger. Shifting. Alternate wild shape. Mechanics inspired by this Reddit post. Oh, yeah. We created alternate shifting mechanics that are not going to be included in the book. They're just fun to play with. So you can channel lunar magic when you assume a wild shape form, gaining the additional benefits at level 3. Challenge rating. Armor class, 10 hit points. So this will be Once we publish this, we'll be extracting the shifter the shifter idea. It's basically an alternate mana point system that allows you to expend mana up to 10 mana at 19th level to take the form of a beast of small at first level, then medium, large at 7th, huge at 13th, and then start off doing only beasts, and then monstrosities, and then dragon creatures, and then finally either pick a flavor, elemental, celestial, or fiend, depending on which way you want to go. You can't be a monstrosity, dragon, or one of these ultimate forms unless you physically touch one. But once you touch one, it enters your list of creatures that you know, kind of like a wizard. You only have so many that you can prepare, but you can keep adding a repertoire of different creatures. So you have to go on a creature hunt to touch the creature, alive or dead. You have to touch the creature, and once you do, you can take on its form. So the DM can control what creatures you have access to until the DM decides that you're ready to have that. Like it might be like, I don't want you to have access to a griffin. Well, you won't get a griffin because they're large until 7th level, but the DM might not like the idea of you being a griffin until 11th level. If that's the case, just don't introduce any fucking griffin until 11th level. And then, since it's okay now, he's just gonna walk up and touch one, now I can be a griffin too. Great that you're rewarding them for being able to do that. So so I won't bore you with the details, but we have a stack of mechanics for how this works. But since it's a mana point system and all characters have mana, once we introduce the shifting system as an alternate to wild shaping, you can choose who has access to it. My default assumption is that the Barbarian, Druid, and Ranger have access to shifting forms, as like you can accumulate shifting forms and prepare them instead of spells and powers. So if you like, your Barbarian could become a Chimera, which is a monstrosity. It's a large monstrosity, so by 7th level, a Barbarian could take on the form of a Chimera. And then using the list of alternate features, enhancements that's on the Ranger's list for their animal companion, you can combine Shifter with animal companion options and spend mana to get tweaked effects like flight and damage resistance and extra damage and like tremor sense or like echolocation, poison immunity, swimming, deep sea swimming, blah blah blah, like water breathing, all that stuff. Like it's a menu of stuff that you can select depending on what you need by expending points of mana as you take on that form to alter its ability. So you can combine the shifter idea of mimicking shapes and then augmenting them with additional points of mana to have them perform differently. You can take the basic Chimera form and then again enhance it with additional mana so it can keep up with your characters at higher levels. If you like being a Chimera all the time, I'm a Chimera Barbarian, that's my jam. Cool, stay a Chimera. As we rank up in levels, you could eventually become a huge size Chimera. And you can add on all these like 5th level spell effects at 17th level. Anyway, I digress. That will be a separate piece that's not going to be automatically included with this. Right now, all we're really interested in is converting the actual class features that appear in the Druid's default, so that's so we aren't overburdening you with too much stuff. We create that's why we have this this super bundle of a bunch of books, because these are all like these are Arcane Tricksters and Eldritch Knights specifically. This is the Way of the Four Elements specifically. This is a deeper dive into Point Warlocks specifically. Yeah, so these are all modified. Like we're going to have a Spell Point Sorcerer and we're going to have Spell Point Artificers that dive deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of what can you do with mana points that are optional. And when you buy them all as a bundle, you get a pretty hefty discount. Currently there's a 22% discount. So 25 bucks worth of books, less than $19. But if you don't want to pay any money, you can just read them all for free. And if 20 bucks is more you can handle, then just buy a couple of them. And give me what you need. Give me what you can afford. I want you to know the mechanics more than I want your dollars to find out about them. But that's just my own personal ethics. So that's just me. So enjoy this stuff. Use it. It's difficult enough just to get third parties, just to get noticed by people. Much less paywalling you to look at it. Fuck off. All right, so back at it. Yeah, so stepping past the shift. The shifter stuff will be on my Patreon. Once we get the core mechanics book rebuilt, the shifters will have a point of context to make sense. And you can just join my Patreon, which is also linked down below. So check that out. Circle forms. You can channel lunar magic when you assume a wild shape form, granting you the benefits below. Challenge rating increases to Druid level divided by 3, round down. AC equals 13 plus your Wisdom modifier. If that's the total is higher than the beast's AC. Temporary hit points. Number of HP equal to 3 times your Druid level. Cheers. Now we go into improved circle form at 6. Wild shape, you gain Lunar Radiance. Each of your attacks can deal its normal damage type or radiant damage, your choice. And increased toughness, you add your Wisdom modifier to your Constitution saving throws. Love that. Easy enough, not too heavy. Moonlight Step. 10th level, you magically transport yourself, reappearing amidst a burst of moonlight. As a bonus action, you teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you see, and you have advantage on the next attack roll. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You also regain uses by expending 2 points of mana for each use. Full casters have things that they can get back, or a number of things equal to their ability score. Marshals and half casters have things that are limited by the maximum level spell that they can prepare as that class. So like a 5th level ranger could do things. I can't even think offhand what it would be. Yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of like an example of something. But like if there was a thing that you could do it twice, because at 5th level it would be 2nd level spells, so you could do it twice, but you could expend mana to do it more often. That's generally how subclass stuff works. I can't think of something offhand like that. Most of the stuff you can just do whenever you want by expending mana. Some of them give you free uses limited by your spell level, but these, for the full casters, it's almost always this thing that you want to do, you can do it a number of times equal to whatever relevant stat you have. Blah. Anyway. Lunar form. You gain more shit. So improve lunar form. Not only are you doing radiant damage, you're now doing 2d10 radiant damage. 2d10 here of radiant. At 17th, it's 2d10 radiant, 2d8 of elemental damage, your choice. And then like the tiger, for instance, does 2d6 slashing damage. So it'd be 2d6 plus 2d8 plus 2d10 if I were to be lunar form of a tiger. And that'd be by 17th level. That's actually pretty decent damage. Can't complain about that. Shared Moonlight. Whenever you use Moonlight Step, you can also teleport one willing creature. It has to be within 10 feet and appear within 10 feet. Cool. Okay. I don't see any real changes that need to happen here. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think we made any changes to this. Again, we'll have to extract the shifting stuff, but I'm just gonna leave it there for now because I'm not gonna bother you guys with paperwork. I'm gonna shunt it down to the bottom of the document. This document is 277 pages long. It has all of the classes, every subclass that Wizards has ever published, as well as all of the Unearthed Arcana for 2025. It also has the full system for color hex crawling, of different land types and the color of lands, what kind of lands they are, hazards, creatures, magical effects, and discoveries that are related to each color for each land type. There's also the dungeon crawling progressive system that's like around page 260. So there's a lot of shit, like all the playtesting stuff. There's also the monster section for the DMs. There's also magic item creation using the color mana system. Yeah, like all the backgrounds for Ravnica, Strixhaven, and Theros, the renown system, the piety system, and the college credit system for Strixhaven. That's all in here as well. I mean, it is a thick, dank document. I'll be peeling pieces out of this for like 5 or 6 books. So as we peel pieces out of it and put them in other books, we reduce the amount of content that's in this book, taking away and putting in other books, updating it to its final form, and then publishing it, and this becomes irrelevant. So we are stripping this away until it's empty, taking everything from it and putting it into books or my Patreon as we go. That. Let's see. Where are we at? What are we doing right now? We just finished that. Okay, Circle of the Stars. Circle magic. You know what? You love it. Cheers. When you reach a druid level, okay, so again, you could be Golgari, which is black-green. You could be Selesnya, which is white-green. You could be Orzhov, which is white-black. That'd be weird, but again, if that's the character that you want to make, it's your background. Justify it any way you want. That's your story to tell. So, but the spells you get: Starry Wisp, Guidance, Color Spray, Augury, Beacon of Hope, Hypnotic Patterns, Divination, Guardian of Faith, Contact Other Plane, Legend Lore. That all makes sense to me. I don't know if Stars actually gets a bonus spell list. Do they? Yeah. But again, we give you 10. Every subclass gets 10 bonus spells with this system because they're colorless. So you don't have to worry. So if you're using your focus bonus spells, you don't have to worry about what color they are. They can be used by anybody with any druid of that subclass with whatever color it is that you choose. So that's important that we include that for every class because they all use mana. They all have restrictions. So we want to make it easy for you to spend mana. Let's see. Star map. You gain a star map that is tiny object, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus for the druid spells while holding the map. You have the guidance and guiding bolt spell prepared. If you lose the map, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to magically create a replacement. The ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous map. I'm going to revisit this real quick. Oh yeah, I don't give a fuck about whatever. I don't need to give you a random table about what your map looks like. Just make it up yourself. Starry Form as a bonus action. You can expend a use of your Wild Shape feature to take on a starry form rather than shape-shifting. While in your starry form, you retain your game statistics, but your body becomes luminous. Your joints shimmer like stars, and glowing lines connect them as on a star chart. This form sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. The form lasts for 10 minutes. It ends early if you dismiss it. No action required. Have the incapacitated condition or use the feature again. Whenever you assume the form, choose which of the following constellations glimmer on your body. And choose, and your choice gives you certain benefits while in this form. Archer. Constellation of an archer appears on you. When you activate this force in a bonus action on your subsequent turns, while it lasts, you can cast Guiding Bolt as a bonus action. Chalice, again, so let's see. A constellation or archer, when you activate this form as a bonus when you activate this form and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns, while it lasts, you can cast Guiding Bolt as a bonus action. And That's a combat spell, which I don't want to make available. As a bonus action, you can cast Guiding Bolt once during your turn using a bonus action. Instead of a magic action. I'm adding that there specifically because I don't want you to cast Guiding Bolt twice. Hold on real quick. Because the sorcerer can just twin bolt it anyway and fire 2 of them. I'm gonna fucking take that away. Yeah, I'm going to get rid. This is basically you can cast Guiding Bolt by using your bonus action and your standard action as a twin spell, as a sorcerer's twin spell, who can also do this at 3rd level. Let's actually take a walk. Let's take a walk down to the sorcerer. There. Meta Magic. Careful spell, convincing spell, corroding spell, distant spell, empowered spell, extended spell, sub spell, immaterial, impeding, lifelink, quickened, radiant, twinned. When you cast a spell that targets only one creature and doesn't have a range of self, you can spend a number of mana equal to the level of that spell is cast up to your maximum sorcery limit to target a second creature in range with the same spell, 1 sorcery point if the spell is a cantrip. 1 mana if the spell is a cantrip. To be eligible, a spell must be incapable of targeting more than 1 creature at the spell's current level. For example, Magic Missile and Scorching Ray aren't eligible, but Ray of Frost and Chromatic Orb are. Okay, so that locks in. So Twin Spell is a minimum of 1 mana, which we get access to at, what, 3rd level? Meta Magic at 2nd level. And we have a maximum sorcery limit of 1 mana. So at 3rd level Starry Form, we get the ability to effectively cast Twin Guiding Bolt. The difference here is that the sorcerer can do it as a magic action and hit 2 targets, while you would have to use your magic action and your bonus action to hit 2 targets. But it's still going to cost you 2 mana, just like it would with the sorcerer. So I'm going to say that's actually just absolutely perfectly fair to be able to do that. I have no complaint. Chalice. Constellation of a Life-Giving Goblet appears on you whenever you expend mana to restore hit points on a creature. You or another creature within 30 feet of you can regain hit points equal to D8 plus your Wisdom modifier. Cool. Dragon. Constellation of a Wise Dragon appears on you when you make an Intelligence or Wisdom check, or when taking damage forces a Constitution saving throw. To maintain concentration, you can treat a roll of 9 or lower on the D10 as a 10. Cool. Cosmic Omen. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can consult your star map for omens and roll a die. Once you finish your next long rest, you gain access to a special reaction based on whether you rolled an event even or odd. Wheel is even and woe is uneven. Whenever a creature you see within 30 feet of you is about to make a d20 test, you can take a reaction to roll 1d6 and add the number rolled to the total. Whoa, whenever you take it away. You can use this reaction, 1, 2, 3. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Or you can regain uses of it by spending 2 mana, no action required. Twinkling Constellation. So far, I'm pretty good with these. I like taking that quick review with Archer. Mechanically, it is compliant and very limited in scope. I love it. I'm perfectly happy with that. That gives us a good benchmark for other things as well. We already had that diatribe at the beginning of this session about why it's okay to use a spell and a magic action and a bonus action to cast spells that both require mana. Now that every spell that you can possibly cast is going to cost you mana. Cosmic Omen, Wheel Woe. Number of times, Wisdom modifier, regain 2. Cool. Twinkling Constellation. Constellations of your starting form improves while the Archer is active. Missed attack with Guiding Bolt, return the mana to your pool. While the Archer is active, if you miss your attack with Guiding Bolt, I need to specify. The constellation is starting form improves. Right, okay, so while the Archer is active, if you miss your bonus, your attack with, if you miss your bonus action attack with Guiding Bolt, return the mana to your pool. While the Chalice is active, you now regain 2d8 plus your Wisdom modifier. HP equal to, while the dragon is active, you have a flight speed of 20 feet and can hover. Love that. Moreover, at the start of each of your turns while you are in starry form, you can change which constant. I love that. Each of your turns. That's super cool. Full of stars. While in your starry form, you become partially incorporeal, giving you resistance to bludgeoning BPS. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm super cool with that. BPS resistance, that's cool. And Circle of the Storm replaces Circle of the Sea. Circle of the Storm spell, when you reach a druid level specified in the Storm spells table, you thereafter always have the listed spells prepared. Let's see. Thunderclap, Thunderwave, Witch Bolt, Shatter, Lightning Bolt, Wind Wall, Ice Storm, Control Water, Conjure Elemental, Storm of Radiance, good to go. Wrath of Storm. As a bonus action, you can expend a use of your Wild Shape to manifest a 5-foot emanation. It takes the form of a storm that surrounds you for 10 minutes. It ends early if you dismiss it, manifest it again, or have the incapacitated condition. When you manifest the ammunition, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns, you can choose another creature that you can see in the emanation. The target must succeed on a con save against your spell save DC or take cold, lightning, or thunder damage, your choice. And if the creature is larger or smaller, be pushed up to 15 feet away from you. To determine this damage, roll a number of d6s equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1. That's a hella hit. And that's going to cost how much? Hold on. Ends if you dismiss it is an ongoing effect. At level 3, it's a second level spell. And take CLT. So at third level, I could potentially have a 20. So that's gonna be 5. So that'd be 5d6. It's 2 mana to use this. It lasts for 10 minutes. You can manifest emanation as a bonus action on subsequent turns. That's insane damage. Hold on. That can't be how this fucking thing works. I must have typoed that. Let's double check this. When you manifest emanation as a bonus action, subsequent turns, you can choose another creature. You can see in the emanation, the target must succeed on a Constitution save. To determine the damage, roll a number of d6s equal to your wisdom modifier. Fucking A. How many times? As a bonus action, you can expend the use of wild shape to manifest a 5-foot emanation that takes the form of ocean spray that surrounds you for 10 minutes. 5-foot emanation that takes the form of a wild shape that surrounds you for 10. So they have to be adjacent to you for you to be able to damage them. They take 5d6 damage and get punted away from you. That's still a stupid amount of mana. A stupid amount of damage. I'm not really happy with that. Let's go look at... let's look at conjure animals and see comparative damage. Conjure animals, I think, is 3rd level. 10-minute duration, but it requires concentration. This does not require concentration, and it's 2nd level, so it's got that going for it. You conjure nature spirits that appear in a large pack. You have advantage on strength saving throws while you're within 5 feet of the pack. Within 10 feet of a creature, you can see on a failed save, the creatures take 3d10 slashing damage. It increases, but ours doesn't. So 3d10 versus 5d6 is 6 or a half dozen. Take your pick. It's the same. So, but this is 3 mana. It's mobile and has a concentration effect. For us, it's 2 mana, no concentration, and is limited to a 5-foot space around us. So we're gonna have to get up close and dirty with this, which implies it's supposed to be used during wild shape, which I'm okay with. It's just a lot of fucking damage. A lot of damage. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. Like, where's the downside? There's no concentration. It's 10 minutes. You damage, what, 1 creature? When you manifest the emanation, the target on your subsequent, you can choose another creature that you can see in the emanation. The target must succeed on a con save or take half. And if the target is larger or smaller, it's pushed 15 feet away. We're gonna let it sit for now, but I'm not 100% happy with that one. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not content with that. Tempest Affinity, the size of the emanation created by your Wrath of Storm increases to 10. And you automatically succeed attrition checks triggered by weather conditions. Attrition checks are when you're maintaining concentration on things longer than they're normally allowed. You can continue by making concentration checks during, like, if it's going to last 10 minutes normally, and you're allowed to expand, and you have an extended duration. After another 10 minutes, you're going to make another You're going to make a concentration check. DC equals 10 plus the level of the spell. So, and like if you're in bad weather, it can trigger like once an hour. It can be anywhere from like once every 8 hours, all the way to unnatural conditions, like supernatural conditions of making you check every round. Like if I'm casting a fly spell with concentration and I fly into a lightning storm, if it's a severe lightning storm, it could be every minute I have to make the dexterity saving throw to avoid being hit by lightning. And that dexterity saving throw, if I roll below 13 on my dex save, I will also lose the fly spell. I've lost my concentration, regardless of whether I got hit by lightning or not. Because there's so much lightning going off that I'm trying to dodge the lightning bolts to stay safe, it's disruptive to my concentration. So that's called an attrition check. And so the attrition check, if I have my manifestation active around me, and if I were to fly into that thunderstorm, and if I were to be dodging lightning, I would be rolling my dexterity saves with advantage because I have my Tempest Affinity. So there you go. Self-reinforcing in the system. Cheers. Stormborn. Your Wrath of the Storm feature confers 2 more benefits while active, as detailed below. Flight. You're going to fly speed equal to your flight speed equal to your speed. There you go. And resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. Jeez. I'm going to have to let it go. Just going to have to let it go. I don't like it, but I'm going to let it go. I like these features are great. It's the 2 points of mana for no concentration on 5d6 damage per round to anything that's dumb enough to get within the melee range of you. And if I pick a cheetah, you're gonna be within the melee range of me. I guarantee it. Tempest Gift. Instead of manifesting the emanation of wrath of the storm around yourself, you can manifest it around 3. Willing creature within 60 feet of yourself. That creature gains all the benefits of the emanation and uses your spell save DC and wisdom modifiers for it. In addition, you can manifest the emanation around both the other creature and yourself if you expend 2 uses of your wild shape instead of 1 when manifesting it. I'm going to verify that. I'm going to double check that's a thing. I think it is. I don't think I made that up. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm willing to accept that. And now we're into the Forsaken Druid subclasses. These subclasses are in the player's handbook, so we are adding them to the updated version of the core mechanics. These other subclasses, these Forsaken subclasses, are not in the player's handbook, so they might not ever be published at all, depending on whether the Unearthed Arcanas for some of these come through or not. These are all the 2014 plus, like the Tashas and all the subclasses from all the books, plus anything new that they've put out for the Unearthed Arcana 2025. Like the Circle of Preservation here, for instance, that came from the Dark Sun book. So all these exist. Will be once we get these core mechanic books up, we'll be publishing these on my Patreon, and just like all my other books, we'll build out the layouts. We'll do the PDF. We'll have all the blank spaces on the PDF where the text isn't, the negative space on the page, and we'll use that space on the page to illustrate the PDF, which we do here on stream. I do game design in the evening. I do artwork in the morning. Artwork Monday through Friday in the morning. I do game design on Mondays and Thursday nights, as well as Saturday morning. Instead of doing artwork, I do game design. So 3 days a week, I do game design, and then when I'm not on camera, I'm working on other projects, or spending time with the family, or at my day job, or, out chasing things. Who knows? Whatever. Anyway, that's it for the Druid. So we're going to stop doing Druid stuff now. Task complete. It's 8 o'clock. We've been at it for an hour and a half now? Look at that timing. So, let's get into the fighter then. It's not alphabetical. The fighter's at the top of the page. So, fighters don't get the Eldritch Knight gets spellcasting, but all the other fighters don't get spellcasting. They use martial powers. So, martial powers is an alternate mana system that we created for the martial characters, and it's basically the same mana system that half-casters use. Monks, you can see here, barbarians, fighters, monks, including paladins and rangers, rogues, and artificers and warlocks. They all can use martial powers. The warlock, even though they gain full casting every other level, martial powers are available at the same rate as half casting. So by 17th level, the warlock has access to 9th level spells and up to 5 mana for martial powers. So there you go. But they can't expend more than 5 mana. Like at 19th level, you can cast 10th level spells. A wish 10th level spell is a 19th level, but you're still limited to up to 5 mana for the martial powers side of it. So you can have a warlock that the only spells that the warlock knows are the ones that are on their bonus spell list and their Mystic Arcanum if they get high enough. And then they spend all of their prepared spells to prepare powers and extra feats instead of spells. So you can have a heavy Gish class. A Warlock becomes your primary Gish class. Like the martial power system took like everything from the Blood Hunter and converted them into mana thing like first, second, third rank powers, whatever, that cost mana to expend instead of blood. So a Blood Hunter could now be literally, it could be a barbarian, a fighter, a ranger, a paladin, a rogue, a monk, an artificer, or like the chemical, like the potion drinking Blood Hunter. That would make a natural chemist, alchemist, artificer, and just take those powers and add them instead of preparing spells on your artificer. Just add those martial powers to your artificer prepared list, and you can just narrate as quaffing your artificer potions to like gain giant size or become lycanthrope or blah 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 blah. While an actual lycanthrope character might, instead of quaffing potions to do that, just hulks out and becomes a giant sized werewolf or whatever. Anyway, so martial powers is an alternate magic source. It uses the half casting progression. While in the core mechanics book that we have, it's assumed that half casters would start with 2 mana at first level and end up with 40 mana at 20th level on a long rest. But with martial powers, all of the martial characters and the half casters are converted into short rest mana, just like the warlock, just like the monk's focus points, and the pact mana that the warlock gets for pact magic. That's 1 point per level on a short rest. So all of them, you're either a half caster or martial character that's on a short rest mana system, or you're a full caster that's only on long rest but gets a couple points back on a short rest. And we were looking at those numbers at the beginning of the session about an hour and 15 minutes ago, where we saw that the math actually lines up. If you're using a long rest every 7 days on a Bastion turn, and then your short rests are every night that you sleep, at the end of those 7 days, the amount of mana that the full casters and the martial characters get is actually very similar. So, but there's a kicker. There's added benefit that martial characters get. Martial characters and half casters during combat have empowered actions. You can sacrifice action economy to generate mana in combat, like while you're in initiative. During combat, you can sacrifice action economy to generate mana that martial characters can expend on powers during their turns, and that the half casters, artificer, ranger, rogue, ranger, paladin, the warlock included, and the arcane trickster and eldritch knight, their spells, as long as they're instant or concentration spells, they can cast those using this generated mana. You can generate exploits, which modify D20 tests. You can amplify maneuvers, which gives you action and bonus action things to do that trigger with mana. Reactions are what they sound like. You spend mana to use them. And strikes, which are like paladin smite powers. You expend mana on hit every time you attack, even if it's your reaction, like an opportunity attack. You can expend mana to deal more damage and have kicker effects, like weapon masteries are, but amplified. Like Thundering Strike, for example. For every point of mana that you spend, you deal an extra die of damage, and the die is based on your level, and you'll punt the creature 10 feet away from you. So 3 mana, like at 9th level, my max channeling limit or maximum spell level for a half caster is 3. My power die starts with a D6 at 1, D8 at 9, and D10 at 17. As opposed to, like, say, the monk, which gets a D12 by 17, right? And the battle master starts with a D6 as a fighter, but at 3rd level it becomes a D8, then a D10, and then a D12. So the monk and the superiority die off of the Battle Master, they have the highest die rolls. They have the highest power dice in the game. So at ninth level, we can channel up to 3 mana. We have access to 3rd level spells and 3rd rank powers. So if I spent 3 mana on a Thundering Strike, every time I hit you, I could spend 3 mana until I run out of this stuff. But every time I hit, like at 9th level, a fighter could hit twice. 5th level, I could hit twice. But I only have access to 2nd level D6s. So at 5th level, 2 mana equals an extra 2d6 every time I choose to hit. And the Thundering Strike would punt you 20 feet. At 9th level, it becomes 3 mana for 3d8, or if I only want to spend 1 mana, it's just 1d8, and then for every point of mana I spend up to 3, it'd be, in the case of Thundering Strike, it'll punt you 10 feet per mana, 30 mana. There you go. Kind of like Repelling Blast with the Warlock, but instead of hitting you with 3 Repelling Blasts at 11th level, it pushing you 10 feet each. At 9th level, as a fighter, I could just hit you once and spend 3 mana and punt you 30 feet and deal an extra 3d8 damage on top of the weapon damage I'm already doing. So that's how that works. So that's what strike powers are. So when I'm expending action economy, I can generate this free mana to be able to trigger these powers without actually touching my mana pool. So the full casters have to spend their mana both in and out of combat because they get a ton of it at a time. They can Nova Burst, so you want to burn them down. The half casters and marshals, they only get small amounts on a short rest. Over the course of a Bastion turn, 7 days, they'll end up with the same amount of mana expended, but the whole idea behind the marshal is that they're supposed to be able to do what they do all day. That's the whole martial caster divide, that making 2 attacks around instead of disintegrating somebody is not equal value even at 11th level with 3 attacks per round. It's still not the same as pointing your finger and disintegrating somebody. But you can attack 3 times all day long, right? As long as you're in combat, you can always attack 3 times per round. Cool. But if you sacrifice one of those attacks, you can generate a free point of mana. So if I have 3 attacks at 11th level as a fighter, and I sacrifice 2 of those attacks, if I hit with my first attack, I can sacrifice the other 2 attacks to generate 2 points of mana for free to use an empowered strike to punt that creature with an extra 2d8 damage. And I didn't touch my mana pool. I could always dip into my mana pool and start burning it to do more stuff per round than my action economy would allow. Or I could just keep all my action economy and just burn through my mana pool to do a whole bunch of cool shit. Or I can just parse out a little bit at a time. Sacrifice an attack each for 1 point of mana. Sacrifice my bonus action. At 1st level, it's worth only 1. At 9th level, it's worth 2. At 17th level, it's worth 3 mana. My reaction, I can burn my reaction to gain a point of mana. You'll see later, rogues can, if they don't use movement during their turn, they can also generate a point of mana. So everyone has like little cheats and exceptions, and we'll be looking at that with the fighter. But that's the basically the crash course of how this works. All subclasses for the fighter get 10 powers, 10 martial powers. Fighter. Let's go to fighter. Here we are. So again, we're going to look at the subclass. We're going to look at the features of the fighter, what have changed. We'll have access to our point of reference, what the different powers are, so we can go visit those as we do. It's at the front of the book. What can you do with powers? So the things you can prepare powers, and we have the exploits, which modify die rolls. We have the maneuvers, which are like spell-like abilities, actions and bonus actions. You can do the same power twice in the same turn as an action and a bonus action, but you have to spend mana on it both times if you want. There's a feat you can take that allows you to use maneuvers instead of attacks on an opportunity attack, just like Warcaster, as long as you're only targeting 1 creature. You have that same ability here as well. We've been playtesting this for about 18 months now. So it works pretty damn good, and most of these powers are buckled in pretty good. We're still doing a few final passes just to make sure everything's copacetic, but this stuff is imminent to publication. We just got to build the thing and make it happen. But I'm really happy with them. So exploits modify something that you're doing and don't actually require their own action themselves, like slippery. When you take the disengage action, you can end the prone condition or make a strength and dexterity check to end the grappled or restrained condition, rolling with advantage. So for 1 point of mana, if I'm grappled and I take the disengage action, while I do so, I can burn a point of mana, and that allows me to make a saving throw to escape being grappled or restrained. I do so with advantage, and I can also stand from being prone as part of that disengage action for 1 point of mana. That's a slippery exploit. It modifies the disengage action. It doesn't work on its own. I have to use my disengage action and spend a point of mana while I'm doing so to become slippery. These are all prepared. So, and you can change prepared powers when you finish a long rest. So we have a lot of adaptability from day to day. That, I mean, if you're using a Bastion turn, you can only change it each week, but still, you have a lot of float and mobility what you can do. So those are exploits. We were talking about maneuvers already. These can be used as actions, bonus actions. You can use the same power twice in the same round as an action, bonus action, as long as you're willing to pay for it. But like, say, flatten is a fun one. Choose a creature that you can see standing on a surface that can support its weight up to size large. It takes 1 power die of damage for each point of mana, and it's not prone. So it only costs 1 mana. I can do, at first level, D6 points of damage, and I knock you prone. You are automatically knocked prone, just like a wolf. If I were to wild shape into a wolf and hit you with an attack roll as a druid, I would automatically knock you prone. It cost me 2 mana to become that wolf to do that. So this is fair. I could expend my reaction to generate a free point of mana to flatten somebody as a bonus action, and then use my attack action to hit them with advantage because they're prone. For instance. That's an example of a maneuver. Reactions sound like they sound. They're a reaction. So I just locked up for a second there. So let's look at reactions really quickly. Yeah, there's 27 of them total. So let's go look at Anchor is a fun reaction. There's 5 third-rank reactions, and Anchor is one of them. It costs 3 mana to do this. As a reaction to a creature that you can see that is moving, teleporting, or shifting planes, whether voluntarily or forced. Before doing so, it takes 1 power die of damage, a minimum of 3 mana, right? So 1 power die per mana. It could be up to 5 mana at 17th level, but at 9th level, it's 3 mana, so 3d8 at 9th level, and must succeed a charisma saving throw. If it fails, it automatically takes the damage. If it fails, it can't move, teleport, or shift planes until the beginning of their next turn. If a falling, flying, or swimming creature targeted with this power remains fixed in the space it occupies until the duration ends. And you can choose to forego dealing damage. So as a reaction, you can use this. If your ally is being banished and you have Anchor, you can spend 3 mana to prevent them from being banished, kind of like a counter spell. You can prevent them from being banished and choose to not to deal damage. That's your reaction. If instead a demon was attempting to plane shift to get out of there, you could hit it for 3 mana, 3d8 damage for automatically, and it has to make a charisma saving throw, and if it fails, it cannot teleport. It can't plane shift away until the beginning of its next turn, so you have an extra round to beat down on it before it can try to bounce out of there. And even then, you can hit it with a reaction again, and it has to make another saving throw at potentially being stuck. So it's a higher level anti-fuckery ability. That's an example of a reaction. Another example of a reaction is Fate Spinner. As a reaction to when you or a creature that you can see within all these powers have a 60-foot range. So it's just a default. When you see them within 60 feet, You can make that you see that makes an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. You can alter you can alter fate by rolling a number of power dice equal to the mana spent. You can choose to either increase or decrease the results by the highest power die rolled. So it's kind of like a one-way silvery barbs, and it allows you to roll multiple mana. It's 3 mana because it's Fate Spinner's 3rd rank. So for 3 mana, I'll roll at least 3 8-sided dice. Whichever result is highest, I can choose to either add or remove from that D20 test once we know what the result is. Here's the kicker. A kicker is, so it's 3 mana to use Fate Spinner because it's 3rd rank. But if I choose to spend an extra point of mana, you don't have to use a reaction. It's going to cost you 4 mana every time you do this, but when you do, you can modify as many D20 tests as you have going on around you. You can just constantly just pumping out points. It's like a really good, expensive version of Bardic Inspiration that you can use at will. Literally at will. As long as you're able to take a reaction, you could use this. You can expend 1 mana to not use a reaction when channeling this power. I actually need to make a quick caveat about that, and I'm really glad we're here having this conversation. So let's go back up to Forced Movement. Forced Movement, draw attack of opportunity in this system. So you want to push people around the battlefield because while they're exiting or traveling through your space, you can hit them on the way by. Super useful. I need to find reaction powers. Kickers. Further modify individual powers. When using a kicker effect, it's considered to be an exploit, but does not benefit from the efficient power feat or efficient channeling power. I'm still streaming, right? Is everything going okay here? Yeah, we're doing good. Okay, cool. Hey, what's up, Frog? Frog 3 Fiend. Nice. Froggy Fiend? Is it Froggy Fiend or Frog 3 Fiend? I like the elite speak mixed in there, though. Nice move. Kicker. Further modify individual powers. When using a kicker effect, it's considered to be an exploit, but does not benefit from reaction. That's a kicker for exploits, right? Reaction powers. Only 1 reaction power can be used in response to a triggered circumstance, even if multiple reactions can be triggered. And you can only take 1 reaction during a turn. Kicker. If a kicker allows you to use a reaction power without expending a reaction to do so, you must still be able to take reactions to benefit from this kicker effect. For example, if you are paralyzed, you cannot... That's my timely timer, making sure I'm staying on time. For example, I'll catch up with you in a second. For example, if you are paralyzed, you cannot take reactions and you cannot use reaction powers even if you pay the kicker cost. That's an important note that needs to be included. When you make an opportunity attack or can make a weapon attack as a reaction, you can channel a strike power as part of the damage if you hit. Cool. So that's reactions. So I'm just walking you through what reactions and stuff do. So let's kick on back down. Okay, this is now we're going to go into strikes. Hey, what's up? Forge Fiend. This is proof that I have a little bit of dyslexia. It's not strong, but I have it because I thought it said Frog 3 Fiend. Forge Fiend makes so much more sense. Thank you for the opportunity to take the second look. I do have just a spot of dyslexia. I'm gonna take a sip here real quick. All right, strikes. Strike powers, anytime you hit, as we just saw, even if during an opportunity attack or whatever, anytime you make a strike power, you can expend mana to use one of these strikes if you have it prepared. There's 26 strike powers in total. For instance, 4th rank power, your weapon can deal force damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. So 4 mana, it's going to add that. That's 13th level is 4th level. 4th rank power is at 13th level, just like a half caster. 4 mana, but I'm only using a D8. Until like 17th level, I'll use a D10, but for now it's a D8, so 48 damage automatically. And the creature makes a charisma saving throw. If it fails, it's banished and incapacitated for 1 minute, returning to the space that it banished from if unoccupied. Otherwise, returning to the next closest space. The creature makes a charisma saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect early if successful. All powers last 1 minute. It's a little redundant to have it listed here, but any power that affects somebody lasts up to 1 minute, 10 rounds. That's the cap. But that's how a strike works. And then the last type of mana power are sustained powers. Sustained powers are personal, like buff aura effects. Like in Magic the Gathering, these would be aura enchantment cards, or like creature enchantment cards that affect only the creature that the aura is on. And you're only able to put auras on yourself. So, you can have a number of mana equal to your max rank of power in sustained powers. So if I was 17th level up to 5th level spells, 5 ranks of power, I could have 5 first rank powers, a first and a 4th rank power, a second and a 3rd rank power, 2 second rank powers, and 1 first rank power, any combination thereof that I want, up to 5 at 17th level. Some subclasses allow you to cheat that by like either reducing the cost of a sustained power so you can sustain more of them when you normally wouldn't be able to do so. Some of them make a sustained power permanent over time. There's a lot of modifiers like that. For example, power armor. Your armor class is 12 plus the channeling ability modifier. So like a fighter uses either strength, dexterity, or intelligence for their channeling ability modifier. So let's go with strength. My 20 strength. It would be an armor class of 12 plus 5 from 20 strength plus my max rank of power. So at 17th level, I can have up to 5th rank power. 20 strength is also plus 5. So at 17th level for 1 mana, power armor is a first rank sustained power. For 1 mana, I could turn this on and have an armor class 22 with no armor on. I am now building a armor out of power, out of magical power that now protects my character. Sustained powers do not require concentration and last until I'm incapacitated or take a long rest. If I have sustained powers active through a short rest, my fighter would normally get all my mana back when I finish a short rest. Like a 10th level fighter would get 10 mana back when I finish a short rest. But if I am sustaining powers, that mana isn't expended yet. It is tapped. Like in Magic the Gathering, I have tapped that mana to sustain that magical effect. I cannot recover it because it is not yet expended until I end the power. So on a short rest, I could end the power and rest and regain all my mana and then turn it back on again. Or if I'm like underwater and I'm taking a short rest underwater and I have like aquatic adaptation active, aquatic anatomy, thank you. I can breathe water and I gain a swim speed equal to double my normal speed, and I'm not penalized for melee attacks while I make attacks underwater. If I have aquatic anatomy active at first level for 1 mana, at first level I would not get my mana back if I am taking my short rest underwater. because Aquatic Anatomy is tapped, I can't recover that mana yet. See? So those are the things that you can spend mana on. Exploits, maneuvers, reactions, strikes, and sustain powers. There's 5 of them. How symbolic. There's other things that we can spend, that we can prepare. These are prepared powers that cost mana. If I don't want to use mana, I could prepare nothing but meta powers. Hey, what's up? Off topic, but when is your next Bashing campaign stream? I've been watching them to prepare. I have my character. Holy shit! Right on, Forge. I think I'm going to get through. I'm going to go through all of the 14 subclasses, including the Scion. We're doing Druid and Fighter tonight. On Thursday, I hope to do Monk and Paladin. And then Saturday, I'll probably do Ranger. Monday will be Rogue and Ranger on. It'll be Ranger on Saturday, and then the following Monday it'll be Rogue and Sorcerer, and then Thursday next week would be Warlock and Wizard, and then Saturday I'll do Artificer, and then Monday the following week. So 2 weeks from now, I intend to continue with the Bashing campaign stuff. So we'll be at 12th level playtesting this Saturday. We'll be 14th level next week playtesting Saturday. This is for Mage Tower, the Strixhaven PvP rugby game. 12th level this Saturday, 14th level next Saturday, 18th level the third Saturday, and then 20 the fourth Saturday, and then we're going to start Spelljammer. So 4 weeks from this Saturday. So Saturday the 7th, 14th. So April 4th. The intention is to start the Spelljammer campaign on April 4th. So we'll be finishing out through Saturday. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, Monday the 16th is when I intend to continue doing Bashing campaign stuff for Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju. Yeah. But all of these things you can use in that campaign if you want to. All these things, you can always use my color mana stuff in any of the games that I run, or you can run a normal Spelljammer game. So if this stuff is compelling to you, you can use this with your mecha by spending spell points in combat at the 50-foot scale instead of the 5-foot scale out of your mecha to fight kaijus using these powers. So yeah. I'm playing a Dwarf Artificer who loves to use the returning weapon infuser. Oh, that's super cool. I love that. Yeah, stick around and check out the Artificer that we're working on. If you think this martial power stuff for Artificer is cool, you can use that with your returning spear. So you can enchant your spear to have the returning property, and then you can dump a bunch of strike and mana powers to have that spear do more. And then in the mecha, you can use a massive scale spear to be able to use all that stuff through your mecha at the... We're starting off with 20-foot mecha, but they'll get bigger as we go at the 50-foot scale. So that's fucking cool, dude. I'm into that. Yeah, if you want. You can just run your Artificer out of PHB as it is. I don't care. But these powers are here. Artificers can use both spells and powers. And can use the short rest mana, which will come in handy for the Bashing campaign. It'll put you on even footing with the full casters over the course of a week. So I highly recommend that. Meta powers. So there's 3 types of meta powers that are basically cantrips. They don't require any mana at all. Combat masteries, damage types, and feats. So combat masteries are basically the weapon masteries that are introduced in 5.5. Except with this system, if you have the ability to channel power, you also automatically know the weapon mastery associated with the weapon you're using. So for your spear, I think spear has the Vex property. Maybe I'm mistaken about that, but whatever weapon mastery is naturally a property of the spear. If you're a martial character or a half caster, you automatically have proficiency or you automatically have mastery with the spear's mastery while you're wielding a spear. But let's say cleave, for instance. If you prepare cleave as a mastery, it has sap. Okay, thank you, sap. So yeah, if you're using a spear and you don't prepare sap, you can still use sap with the spear. If you prepare sap as a weapon mastery, you can use sap on any weapon. Crossbow bolts, longbow, firearm, sling stone, dagger, unarmed strike, minotaur horns. Any of them can use sap if you prepare sap as a combat mastery instead of selecting a mana power, for instance. And there's, I think, how many of them are there? There's 12 combat masteries. The ones that have asterisks next to them already exist in the player's handbook, but we can do things that don't need to be tied to any specific weapon. Like, for example, step. When you hit a target, you can move 5 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. So as an 11th level fighter, I have 3 attacks. I can hit you, move 5 feet, hit another guy, move 5 feet, hit another guy, move 5 feet. I cannot use masteries at the same time as strike powers. These are effectively weapon cantrips versus weapon spells. Strikes are spells, cantrips, masteries are cantrips, but you can't cast a cantrip and a spell at the exact same time unless you have a special feature that lets you do that. And there are many class features in the system that let you, when you're using a strike power, you can also use this mastery. Like the Ranger has a ton of abilities that allow you, while you're doing this, while you're using a strike power, you can also use this mastery. And each subclass has a selection of combat masteries they automatically gain and can use with strike powers while they're doing so. So the Ranger has a lot of combat utility attached to it. Another thing that you can prepare that doesn't require mana is damage. At first level, you can deal acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison damage with any weapon instead of its BPS. You could also choose BPS if you wanted to, but as a DM, I generally just let you generally use BPS on any weapon if you can justify that your weapon would have it. Like maybe you have a sharpened spike on the end of your club, so normally you're using bludgeoning damage, but you could also hit for piercing damage if you wanted to. And at 5th level, you can start picking up Force, Necrotic, Psychic, Radiant, Thunder, which most subclasses start getting access to this stuff for free at 6th level. So it's a power that you can prepare, and you can always deal Force damage. You can always deal Necrotic damage. You saw up here with a lot of strike powers, like Life-Stealing Strike, for instance. You deal Necrotic or weapon. Your weapon deals Necrotic or Radiant damage, and for every point of mana that you bump into it, you deal extra damage of either Necrotic or Radiant. And then the kicker effect for the Life-Stealing Strike is however much damage you deal with the dice that you roll, that you spent on mana. Like if I spend 3 mana, I'll do an extra 3d8 damage. I'll not only do 3d8 necrotic damage to the target that I hit, but that 3d8 damage is also temporary hit points that I get back. And Life-Stealing Strike is a 2nd rank power, so I don't get until 5th level, and it costs at least 2 mana for me to use it. Excuse me. But there's 27 different strike powers, so I like that one in particular. That's a very Orzhov sort of thing to do, right, with the white-black. So that's the 2nd type of meta power, damage types. And then the 3rd is feats. You can prepare feats. So you can use your feats at 4, 8, 10, 12, blah. As a fighter, you can actually use your feats to gain stats. I can prepare as many feats as I want and keep my ASI at 4th and etc. levels to actually gain stat bonuses. So you can have all the things if you're willing to prepare them. When you prepare a feats, you don't have any prerequisites, but you also don't gain any stat bonuses. There's a selection of origin feats that you can prepare at 1st level. Notice that skilled is not one of them. You can also prepare fighting styles. And all marshals and half-casters and warlock get access to all of these things. Again, half-casters become gishes, the Warlock becomes a full casting Gish. There you go. And then at 5th level, you can start picking up general feats. Again, you don't get any stat bonuses for this, but it doesn't have any prerequisites either. So I could pick up at 5th level, I could pick up Great Weapon Master, Pole Arm Fighting, and Sentinel. Where is it? Where the fuck is Sentinel? That's weird. I don't know why that's missing. It should be there. All right, Sentinel, for example. So I could pick up, I could pick a Slasher, Sentinel, Polearm Fighter, and a Great Weapon Master. That's going to cost 4 prepared powers. It doesn't cost me any mana to use them. I don't even have to sustain them. I just have them. And now at 4th, 6th, 10th, 12th, 16th, I can use all those things for gaining stats. At 17th level, when I get access to 5th rank powers, there is a small selection of epic boons that I can select. And then at 19th level, I can take any epic boon that I want. But this allows us, our martial characters at 17th level, pure martial character, getting access to these epic boons. And then we have a couple extra new feats. So that's basically a quick crash course in prepared powers. So going to the fighter, here's our table. You can see that we don't have fighting styles and weapon masteries listed separately. They are now prepared powers. You could, at 1st level, not use your mana at all and get 3 weapon masteries and a fighting style, or 4 fighting styles. Or you could take, like, since you only get 1 mana, I could take like 1 sustained power for the 1 point of mana that I have and turn that on. And then I have 3 remaining powers that I could spend on, like, say, 2 fighting styles and a weapon mastery I always want available. And then just do weapon swapping to get access to other weapon masteries until I have a large enough list of prepared powers that I can just pick and choose what I want. Because I'm going to end up having 15 powers, feats, whatever I can prepare. Plus, I'm going to get 10 bonus feats. I'm going to get 10 bonus powers for my subclasses at 3, 5, 9, 13, 17. So I'm going to end up with 25 powers over the course of my character's 17 level. Yes, 20 levels. What's like the idea of using lightning powers? You kind of like, hell yeah, dude, you are welcome to embrace that idea. I think that's awesome. Like, you could take at 5th level, at 1st level, you could, as an artificer, you could choose to prepare lightning damage. So when you throw your spirit, always deals lightning damage. There you go. Yeah, fun stuff options. So looking at the fighter scaffold, again, fighting styles and masteries are folded into your prepared powers. Short rest mana, just like the monk, 1 per level up to 20. You still get second wins. You get 2 second wins. We'll end up having 4 of them in the end. Power die, we talked about that. It starts with a D6, becomes a D8, ends at D10. The max rank of power is at the half casting progression. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 17. Total mana, prepared powers. That's the basic scaffold of the fighter. Let's go through the different features. 8:45. We still got an hour and 15 minutes. We're doing good. We should be able to get through this. I might not have time to walk through and explain every bonus power in the time that we have left, but we can go back and visit those again when we go through the full list of powers and do a cleanup and audit of those later. Oh, I just ran out of power on my tablet. Good thing I have a backup. So I'm going to 20-minute timer. Give me a hot second here. I need to plug my tablet in. I didn't realize it ran out of power. All right, back on task. I usually ban Sentinel because it's a headache to DM. I commit you. Well, with this system, Forced movement triggers opportunity attacks. So you can use Sentinel. If someone's flying through your area of effect, you can use Sentinel to stop them. Yeah, I think that's what Sentinel does. Yeah. You can ping pong people around. I could Thundering Strike you in that direction into your character. You can use Thundering Strike to punt them off in another direction. So if you have like 3 people with either push, repelling strike, or Thundering Strike, or some other ability, you could ping pong a target all around the board, creating movement. And of course, the monsters and NPCs can do that kind of shit to you too. So anytime I kick you out of my area of effect, I can hit you with my own reaction. I can trigger a reaction off of movement I force you to make by pushing you away from me. I push you away and I hit you on the way out, and I've just used my reaction for the round. So you can expend and combine action economy together like that. But there's also abilities that will allow you to not take opportunity attacks, to avoid any kind of opportunity attacks or reactions. But you also have abilities that let you make opportunity attacks even if they've used disengage. So there's a whole bunch of countermeasures and meta play against each other that you can use, just depending on how you structure your shit, what you prioritize for yourself. And Misty Step is so abundant now in 5.5 that basically you can justify anybody having Misty Step at any time, and teleport doesn't trigger movement. So Sentinel isn't as big of a problem if you're dealing with like CR9 plus. You can start expecting to see teleportation and phase effects start kicking in. All right, channeling. Let's get it going. First level, strength, dex, or intelligence is your modifier for DCs. Martial powers, first level, you gain 4 martial powers. You gain more as you gain levels, up to 15 at 20th level. You can swap 1 prepared power when you finish a long rest, and you can swap all prepared powers when you gain a level. Note that fighting styles and weapon masteries can be prepared as meta powers, but are not automatically gained as class features anymore. Mana, you gain mana. You get a pool of martial points called mana. The amount of mana is equal to your class level. You regain all mana when you finish a short or long rest. When you channel a power, you can expend an amount of mana up to your maximum channel rank. Also at first level, second wind, 2 of them. As a bonus action, you can use this feature to gain hit points equal to D10 plus your fighter level. You can use this feature twice. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and regain all of them when you finish a long rest. You gain 1 more at 4th level and at 10th level. 1, 2, 3. Also, first level, tactical recovery. When you activate second wind, instead of regaining hit points, you can choose to regain mana. 1 at first level, 2 at 9th level, and 3 at 3rd level, at 17th level. At 17th level, you have 4 uses of second wind, and you get 1 back every short rest. Over the course of a Bastion turn, you would have 11 of them, and you would get 33 mana. You get a total of 33 mana back over the course of a 7-day long rest Bastion turn. Hey, what's up? Quick question. Sure. I used 1 of my magical infusion slots to replicate an orb of direction. Would that actually help in any way? I don't know what an orb of direction is. I'm going to take a quick tangent to answer your question because you showed up. So, orb of direction. There's so many magic items. There's no way to know what all of them are. Common item. Can be used as an arcane focus. Love it. Magic action to determine which way is magnetic north. Nothing happens if the orb is used in a location that has no magnetic north. Because we are in orbit, there is no magnetic north. There is no magnetic north in orbit. But when you are on any object that has spherical gravity, meaning like anything that's at least 10 miles in size or larger, like asteroids, they will have a magnetic north and south. So while you're on a surface large enough for spherical gravity, yes, it's relevant. So when you guys are doing stuff on a planet somewhere, or on a planetoid or a comet or something, yeah, that'd be useful. I would then also say it's a common magic item. I would say that it could also act as an orrery. So when you use the orbital detection, it will be able to identify any objects large enough for spherical gravity that's within the range of spotting them. Depending on the size is how far away you can see them. But I would allow an orbital detection to also be treated as an orrery. Orreries are common magic items in my Spelljammer. So that's totally, it's, anything 100 gold or less in value, an orrery would qualify. So this is basically an orrery that you can use as a magical spell focus and will always tell you where north is at. Yeah. Totally helpful. Totally helpful. The orrery replaces the compass in Spelljammer, since there are no north and southeast in space, right? There you go. Yeah. Okay, back at it. I don't mind tangent questions like that. Tactical recovery. When you activate second wind. Right, yeah, we just talked about that. 1, 2, or 3 mana by 17th level. Action surge. Level 2, you can push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. On your turn, you can take 1 additional action, except the magic action. You can take 1 additional action, except casting a spell. Because maneuvers are considered magic actions. So we would absolutely allow you to use your action surge to trigger a power, but not casting a spell. Just like barbarians can't cast spells while they're raging, but can use powers freely. Action surge cannot cast spells. Once you use this, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. You can use it twice at 17. Only once per turn. Cool. Tactical Mind, 2. When you fail an ability check, you can expend the use of Second Wind to roll a number of power dice equal to your max rank of power gained as a fighter instead of regaining hit points, adding the highest number rolled to the ability check, potentially turning failure into success. Fighter subclass. Choose a subclass. 3, 7, 10, 15, 18, blah. Feet, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16. Extra attack, 5. Tactical shift, 5. Whenever you activate any use of your second wind with a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks, so I can regain mana and move half my speed. Indomitable power. Fail a saving throw, re-roll it, and if you had spent any mana to roll additional dice during your saving throw, you can re-roll those as well. You must use the new results, and you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. You can use this feature once before a long rest, twice at 13th, and 3 times at 17th. Bob's your uncle. 11. 2 extra attacks, and again, you can sacrifice attacks to generate mana. So I could, at 11th level, sacrifice all 3 of my attacks during an attack action and then trigger a maneuver as a bonus action for up to 3 mana for free. It's like Anchor, for instance. That reaction, if I know this guy is going to try to teleport, I could wait for him to do it. I could sack my attacks and then, as a reaction, hit him with the anchor power to prevent him from teleporting. Study attacks, 13. Make an attack if I miss. Advantage to hit again. Epic boon at 19, sure. 3 attacks at 20. I can sack all 4 of my attacks to generate 4 points of mana for free. That, again, I can use as a reaction or as a bonus action or as part of exploits while I'm rolling dice or moving or whatever. That's the basic scaffold of the fighter. Not a lot of changes, but they are modifications made to incorporate that mana is a core resource for all fighters now. So, let's look at modifications. Battlemaster. So, again, all classes, all subclasses get 10 powers one way or another. 10 powers, spells. Ranger gets both powers and spells if they don't get 10 spells. Most of them don't. A lot of bards don't get, like bards don't get any spells. We give them 10 spells. Everyone has, like, there's no reason why bards shouldn't get fucking spells, man. I don't get that. Anyway, we standardized it. Hate me if you want to, ignore them if you want, but we provide them here because we think you should have them, especially for martial characters. So they always have a reason to use their mana, even if they spend all of their prepared powers on extra feats, damage, and weapon masteries. They still have a stack of shit to do something with their mana with if they want to. You can see here that there's no, we don't limit you to first at third, second at fifth, third at ninth, blah. It's just depending on the subclass. Whatever narratively seems appropriate, given what you get at your level, to give you powers that reflect that thing that you got. I don't have the time to go over all of these things, but we will be going over all of them when we go through another pass through of the document. After we finish the classes, we'll do another sweep through the powers, and that final sweep should lock down and resolve them at that point. But we can do our features. Combat superiority. When you take this archetype of your power die increases from a D6 to a D8. Again, looking at the basic scaffold, all fighters get a D. All marshals and half-casters, anyone that channels power gets the power die of a D6, D8, and then D10 at 17th. But as soon as you take... Here, hold on. I want to fix this spacing issue here. But if you decide to take Battle Master, there's a ton of maneuvers and reactions. These all basically give allies either extra actions, new reaction options, boost their abilities. This is very much a share class, not selfish. It's that commanding vibe. But anyone can take all of these powers and have that same field combat commander vibe going on. But so combat superiority at third level, it becomes a D8, and then at 9 you got a D10, and at 17 you got a D12. So your power dice are really good when you're a battle master. Student of War, you gain proficiency in one type of artisan tool and one skill from the list available for to fighters at level 1. In addition, you gain a special use of Second Wind. When you use this feature by expending a bonus action, you can swap a prepared power for a new one. So the Battle Master can constantly be swapping what you have access to if you choose. You know all the powers, it's just which ones do you have prepared. Everyone has all the powers, just like a cleric has all their spells, but only prepares some of them. Similarly, the marshals have all the powers, but you only prepare so many of them. The Battle Master can swap the fuck out of them. So they really have a leg up on other people. Prepared lists are more like a suggestion than anything else, you know. Know your enemies, 7th level, bonus action. You can use the study action targeting a creature within 30 feet of yourself. No D20 test needed. You learn if that creature has any immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, or lethalities. You learn if that creature... You regain this feature when you finish a long rest or expend 1 mana. No action needed. Immunities means you can't take any damage. Resistance means that you take half damage. Normal is just normal damage. Vulnerabilities means you take twice damage. And lethalities means that 1 point of damage from that type of damage kills the creature. So, at high levels, you don't need minions that can take 1 point of damage and then they're dead. Instead, you can start introducing swarms of creatures that have a lethality against a certain type of damage. Like, for example, if you're in the plane of fire fighting fire creatures, you can give a swarm of fire sparks, like tiny sized creatures, you can give them lethality against cold damage. While they're in the plane of fire, if they take any cold damage, these little like CR, like your 12th level, and these CR 1/4 creatures, which are nothing more than a nuisance, they have lethality against cold damage. So you could sweep, like you could just like throw a cone of cold, cone of cold that could wipe out all of them in one hit. They're effectively become minions. But you can apply that lethality with any type of damage that you want at any time that you want for any type of creature. The combination of immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, and lethalities allow you to make a meta game out of what type of damage should we use against these creatures. If you research your creatures ahead of time, you may find that they have vulnerabilities or lethalities. Battlemaster, you can just look at it at a glance, just knows. Master of Arms replaces the improved combat mastery. Again, level 10 and an 18 just giving you a better power, giving you a better superiority die is utter bullshit. So let's add in some features to make life worth living. 10th level, Master of Arms. You become a more diligent student of war. Choose a number of combat masteries equal to the max rank of power you have gained as a fighter. At level 10, it's 3. These don't count against the total number of powers you prepare. And when you finish a long rest, you can swap any number of these masteries for different ones. So you get basically 3 free masteries, which otherwise would have cost you something to prepare. Or, I mean, obviously any weapon you pick up, you can use their masteries, but there's like 6 masteries that aren't associated with the weapon that you could pick up with Master of Arms at no cost. Superiority, the attack maneuver power is now permanent. The attack maneuver's power is now permanent without requiring any mana to sustain. Attack maneuver's power. Is that still a power? Or did we change that to a feat? Because we might have to change that. It's reactive maneuver. The attack maneuver's power is now permanent without using any mana to sustain. Attack maneuvers. I don't think that exists. At one point, reactive maneuver was a sustained power that cost 1 mana. I think it was 1 mana. Hold on, double checking. Attack maneuvers. Oh wait, no, it does exist. While this power is sustained during your turn, when you take the attack action, oh, that's right. When you take the attack action, you can forego 1 or more of these attacks to channel an equal number of maneuvers instead. This is like Eldritch Knight that can sacrifice one of their attacks to cast a spell. Attack maneuvers is something that anybody can use. They have to sustain attack maneuvers. This power is sustained during your turn. When you take the attack action, you can forego 1 or more of these attacks to channel an equal number of maneuvers instead. Yeah, so that still exists. It should be on their prep list. Attack maneuvers, we get that at 5th level. As a first rank sustained power. And then at 15th level, it can now be sustained without requiring any mana at all. So it basically becomes free. Which means it becomes a dead power. But, let's actually that's worth noting. While this power is sustained during your turn, when you take the attack action, you can forgo 1 of your attacks to channel a maneuver instead. And what we'll do here the attack maneuver power is now permanent without requiring any mana to sustain. And you can forego any number of attacks, channeling an equal number of maneuvers instead. So, 15th level, I have 3 attacks. they'll all cost me mana to use them, but I could use 3 maneuver powers, and there you go. So, like for example, I know we didn't look at these, but coordinated attack is first rank. I can, for every point of mana that I spend, I can have a number of creatures make an attack against a target that both we and they can see that's within reach. I could commanding stance, which gives me as a sustain power that gives me a bonus to charisma checks. That's not relevant here. Coordinated dash. A number of targets can use their reaction to move. Cooperative effort is a maneuver. Oh, that's an exploit. Let's go. Hold on. You know, now I feel compelled. Let's go take a quick look at some cool maneuvers that aren't on that list, but are cool nonetheless. Exploits, maneuvers. For example, distract. Target creature you can see and can see you cannot take opportunity attacks until it can no longer see you, or it succeeds an intelligence saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Creatures immune to charm roll with advantage. So this targets target creature that you can see. It's 1 mana. I can distract 1 creature. I can channel that 3 times with 3 attacks and distract up to 3 creatures separately, with each attack spending 1 mana each if I wanted to. And now all powers last a minute unless said otherwise. And in this case, it would last a minute, or it would end early if they succeed their intelligence checks. But otherwise, I can lock down a whole bunch of people's AoEs or OAs to prevent them from using those. Like, that's an example of like one random maneuver that I could then diversify across multiple attacks. That's a good glam up. 18, unparalleled power. Whenever you roll any power dice, again at 17th level we're using a D12. So at 18th level on that D12, anything on that D12, if I roll 5 or below, it's a 6, or it automatically becomes a 6. It becomes reliable. There you go. So that's the Battle Master. Super good, super useful. Champion, bonus powers. I won't go through each of them, but you can see here, like, you get some feats, you get some sustained powers, reactions, maneuvers. There's just a bunch of stuff in there. Improved critical. When you roll 19 or 20, you crit. 7th level, remarkable athlete. You have advantage on initiative rolls, strength, athletics, and dexterity, acrobatics. In addition, once per turn, when you score a crit, you can move up to half your speed without provoking OA. 10th, Heroic Warrior. Heroic Warrior, during combat, you can give yourself a Heroic Inspiration whenever you start a turn without it. Give yourself Heroic Inspiration anytime you start a turn without it, which of course, anytime you roll a D20 test, you can just add, you have advantage on it at will. So any turn, you automatically have advantage on anything that you want to do. God, that's ridiculous. I love it. Superior crit, 18 to 20. You are the only, this and the Ranger. The Ranger in general, when they mark a target, they become a crit fisher. The Champion is also a crit fisher. The only 2 in the game. Survivor, when bloodied, half hit points or less than half hit points, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your con modifier until you're not bloody anymore, because then you lose the bloody condition. In addition, when you make a death save, you can crit 18 to 20. So that's the Battle Master. That's the Champion. Battle Master, Champion. Now the Eldritch Knights. This is fucking great. So Eldritch Knight. Again, all the half casters get access to all the powers. Marshals get access to all the powers, but don't get access to any spells. The Eldritch Knight, the Arcane Trickster, and the Martial Adept. Is that what it is? No, the Eldritch, the Eldritch Warrior, or the Warrior of Eldritch Arts. Is that what it is? The Monk. Anyway, they all work the exact same way. Level 3. Choose one: Arcane, Divine, or Primal Magic. So either Wizard, Cleric, or Druid spell list. You can choose cantrips or spells up to the max rank of power gained as a fighter from the chosen list. So at 3rd level, I get two two cantrips, 2 first level spells, or a cantrip and a spell. Cantrips, of course, don't cost any mana. You can use them all day and automatically scale for you. So like True Strike is a legit thing that you could use, and you can stack True Strike. Excuse me. You can stack True Strike with strike powers. You can use them both. So enjoy. Or a first level spell like Shield or whatever. At 5th level, you get 2 more spells that are 2nd level. At 9th, you get 2 3rd level spells. At 13th level, you get 2 4th level spells. And then at 17th level, you get 2 5th level spells. When you gain a new fighter level, you can swap 1 spell for a new one of the same level or a cantrip. So I get 2 5th level spells at 17th level. I can always have 2 5th, 2 4th, 2 3rd, 2 2nd, and 2 1st. Or a cantrip replacing any number of those. Of the same or lower level. No, let's just leave it at the same level. So you can't have more than 2 of 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st, and replace cantrips along the way. I like that limitation. This gives us that same half casting progression instead of the weird 3rd casting of 1, 7, 13, 19. That sucks. 4th level spells at 19th level is bullshit. So instead, 1st through 5th at 3, 5, 9, 13. Basically, you're like a super mini half caster now, with your 10 bonus spells, but you don't get any bonus powers. See? Spell casting follows all normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. You are not limited to casting 1 spell with mana per round. For example, you can cast a level 3 spell, and we talked about this earlier. You can do bonus spells and magic action spells twice in the same round. You have to maintain concentration on spells and sustain powers, both up to your max spell rank. Let's see. You can maintain concentration on spells and sustain powers, both up to your max rank of power. So I can sustain up to, like at 17th level, I can sustain up to 5 ranks of sustained powers, and I can maintain concentration on a 5th level spell. Empowered actions. When you expend action economy during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast 1 of your bonus spells with a duration of instantaneous or concentration instead of channeling a power. So free mana in combat to cast your spells, just like, but all the half casters get that. While you're in combat, action economy that you sacrifice to generate mana can be used to cast a spell. War Bond, but it has to be concentration or instantaneous. So it doesn't you can't cast Gesh, which lasts like a week or a month or whatever. You can't use that for free. But if it could be like Spirit Guardians, for instance, my fighter could take the cleric list and get Spirit Guardians as a 3rd level spell when I hit 9th level. But it has a concentration check of 13. So anytime I fail a saving throw at 13 or lower, anytime I make a saving throw, and if the result isn't at least 13, whether I succeed or not, I lose concentration. And sustained powers can stay on all day without concentration at all. Empowered actions, right. Just talked about that. War Bond, you can perform a 1-hour ritual to create a magical bond you have with an item. It must be within 5 feet of you for the ritual. Once the item is bonded to you at the same plane of existence, bonus action is summon the object to you. It cannot be disarmed while you hold it unless you are incapacitated. You can have up to 2 items bonded at once this way. Each requires a separate ritual to bond and a separate bonus action to summon. If you choose to bond with a 3rd object, you must break the bond with one of the other 2 objects. War Magic. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can forego up to 1 attack to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip with a casting time of 1 action. 10th level Eldritch Strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw you force it to make before the end of your next turn. 15th Arcane Charge. When you use your Arcane Surge, you can teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet away before the end of your turn. 18, Improved War Magic. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can use 2 attacks instead of the magic action to cast one of your Eldritch Knight spells that has a casting time of 1 action, in addition to using 1 attack to instead casting to 1 action in addition to using 1 attack once per round. I see why that's confusing. Has attached to 1 action period. You can forego attacks this way to cast both a cantrip and a spell during the same attack action. There, and at 18th level, I've got three actions. I got 3 attacks at 18th level. So I could sacrifice 2 of those attacks to cast a mana spell, and I could use my remaining attack to cast a cantrip. This way to cast both a cantrip and a spell during the same attack action. Alternatively, you can forego up to 2 attacks to cast. No, that's too much. That's too much. I'm not going to go there. I love the idea, but I'm not going to go there. I know this works. I haven't tested multiple cantrips on actions. It shouldn't be broken, but I don't plan on testing it anytime soon, so I'm going to let that one go. And so we had the Battlemaster, Champion, Eldritch Knight, and the last one that's in the player's handbook, Psy Warrior. So, Psy Warrior, bonus powers. Here's your stack of bonus powers. Psionic Strike, it's a first rank strike power. Psychic damage at 5th level. Vex Mastery, Push Mastery, Abundant Step, Flatten. You gain, Persistent Telekinetic. Persistent Telekinetic. You gain the telekinetic feats, and when you cast the Mage Hand cantrip, you don't need to maintain concentration on it. Why is Vex there? Hold on. Let's go take a look. I feel like I should just make telekinetic your Vex Mastery, replace Vex Mastery with that, and let's see what this does. Telekinetic Thrust. When you deal psychic damage with a weapon attack, you can push at level 7, and we get psychic damage at 5th level as a damage type for free. So Telekinetic Thrust. When you deal psychic damage with a weapon attack, you can use the push or topple mastery in addition to any other effects. So this could be like with Psionic Strike. And hey, look at that. We get Psionic Strike at 1st level. That is a strike power. So if I spend 5 mana at 17th level, I can deal an extra 5d8 damage of psychic damage. And this says, when I deal psychic damage with a weapon attack, I could then use the push or topple mastery with it. Normally, a strike power replaces any masteries that I would use, whether it's part of the weapon or not. But with this feature, I can do both push and topple along with using Psionic Strike. See how that works? And we get psychic damage just to deal psychic damage if we wanted to. But if we do, in addition to any other effects, so I can use like Thundering Strike, deal psychic damage with it, put 3 points of mana into it, push you 30 feet, deal psychic damage to you because I can. And then because I have Telekinetic Thrust on top of it, I could topple you or push you even further. Combos. And then Psi Powered Leap, you gain the benefit of the efficient power feat when you channel Abundant Step. And the speed is automatically doubled without paying the 1 point kicker cost. That's great. Okay, so back on point. We're almost done, so I can afford to finish this. Oh, it's only 9:20. We're doing great. So Protective Field. When you or another creature that you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. As a reaction, roll a power die. The damage taken is reduced by an amount equal to the roll. You can expend mana to increase the number of power dice rolled up to your max channel limit. 2 dice at 3rd, up to 6 at 9th. You can expend, You can expend mana to increase the number of, up to your max channel limits. You can expend to increase the number of power dice rolled up to your max channel limit. 3 dice at 2nd, at 3rd level for 1 mana. Up 1 mana, up to 6 dice at 17th level for 5 mana. Add the result of the dice to your channeling ability modifier. And then persistent telekinetic. You gave the telekinetic feat. Okay, cool. So let's compare this to what the Psi Warrior is supposed to get. So, because I feel like Vex is in there for a specific reason, but telekinetic feat sounds a lot more sensible at this point. So hold on real quick. Let's check that shit out. So we get psionic dice, right? D6, D8, D10, D12. But we're using the power dice instead. And the Battle Master is super awesome because they get the D12s. We're limiting the psionic dice to the normal power dice that we get, the D6, D8, and then D10 at 17th. Yeah, it's a step down. But at 17th level, we have 17 mana. And we have all the extra mana that we can add in. The Battle Master really is supposed to be the best with powers. That's why they get the D12 at 17th, and I don't give it to anyone else. Ironically, all monks get the D6, D8, D10, D12 by 17th level, but they're monks. They're awesome at all that shit. So the Battle Master is as good as a monk, right? So there you go. As specified. Short rest, long rest. You regain 1 of your psionic dice when you finish a short rest. Pathetic. Protective Field. Psionic Strike. You propel your weapons with psionic force. Once on each of your turns, immediately after you hit a creature with 30 foot within your range of yourself, an attack and deals damage. You expend 1 psionic die, rolling it and dealing force damage to the target equal to the number rolled, plus your intelligence modifier. Telekinetic movement. Magic action. Choose a creature you can see. Loose object is a larger object. 1 million. You transport the target up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. Telekinetic move. Ooh. Once you take this action, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest, unless you expend a psionic die. Alternatively, if the target is a tiny object, you can transport it to or from your hand. Unoccupied space you can see. Tiny object doesn't require any Mana. I just ran out of music. All right, I'm going to fix this. It needs fixing. Hold on. Well, the music needs fixing too. Let's see. Yeah, so we can take telekinetic and put it in. So let's do that. There, we don't need Vex. It doesn't serve an actual purpose. This makes so much more sense. When you cast a Mage Hand cantrip, using the telekinetic feat, you don't need to maintain concentration on it. In addition, you can something involving movement. You can move an object or creature with your mind. As a magic action, choose one target you can see within 30 feet of yourself. The target must be a loose object that is large or smaller or one willing creature other than you. You transport the target up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. Alternatively, if the target is tiny, you can transport it to and from your hand. Once you take this action, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest, unless you expend a psionic die, which is equal to a point of mana, to restore it. So instead, in addition, you can expend 1 mana to target an object up to size large, or an object or willing creature up to size large. You can spend 1 mana to target an object or willing creature up to size large to move with your mage hand for 1 round. There you go. Side Power Elite, you gain the ability, the benefit of, do we get Abundant Step for free? 9th level, we get Abundant Step for free. And Abundant Step comes in at 7th. So let's swap Abundant Step with Push. Because you can have anything at any level. It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you're high enough level to use it. So in this instance, we did not give you Abundant Step for free, but we gave you a kicker effect for use with Abundant Step. So we should give it to you for free. So you gain the benefit of Efficient Power feat when you channel Abundant Step. Let's take a look at Abundant Step and Efficient Power real quick so you guys understand the glory of what this is. So, Abundant Step is an exploit. No, it's a maneuver. No, it's a 2nd rank exploit. So at 2nd level, which is level 5, it costs 2 mana to use this. You can channel this exploit as part of a move action. You gain a fly speed equal to your move speed until the end of this turn. If you do not end your turn on a surface or liquid that can support you, you fall as normal. For 1 extra mana, 2 mana to do that. For 1 extra mana, you can double your flight speed. For 3 mana, you can triple it. And for 5 mana, you can quadruple it. So this is a power. We get it for free at 5th level, which is when we would be able to get access to it anyway. And then it's modified at 7th level after we've already gotten it. So now we can benefit from the Efficient Power feat when we channel Abundant Step, and the speed is automatically doubled without paying the 1 mana kicker cost. So that is really nice. 1 for free to double your move speed. But if we look at Fly, Side Power Leap. As a bonus action, you gain a fight speed equal to twice your speed until the end of the turn. Once you take the bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest, unless you expend a psionic die. 1 mana to use it, right? But we're spending 2 mana, Phil. That sucks ass. You're a loser. So let's go look at Efficient Power. Efficient Power is a feat. It's considered a fighting style, so you can take it as early as first level. Where are you at? Oh no, it's an origin feat. It should be a fighting style. It really should be a fighting style. I thought I made that change already. Oh well. Okay, so efficient feat, efficient power, fighting style. Oh yeah, it is a fighting style. Good. It requires a channeling feature, so you have to multi-class to get access to this. Choose 1 exploit, maneuver, or reaction. No sustained powers, which permanently tap mana while you're using them, and no strike powers, which deal extra damage on demand. So you can't just use those as strike powers. It's broken if you do. Choose 1 exploit, maneuver, or reaction power you have prepared from the discipline list when you select this feat. When you channel this power, the chosen power, you gain 1 temporary point of mana that can be expended in combination with any other source of mana or temporary mana to channel the chosen power. And it's repeatable. You can take this feat more than once, choosing a different martial power each time that you do. So, having said that, Abundant Step. It's a 2nd rank power. You get access to it at 5th level. It requires 2 mana every time you use it. However, the efficient power that we just read says that when you channel the power, it generates a point of mana that you spend to channel the power. So Abundant Step, 2nd rank. If we use efficient power with it, the cost is reduced to 1, and we paid the kicker cost for free. So now for a single round, for 1 mana, for a single round, we have a fly speed equal to twice our movement speed. And what do we get with telekinetic, with side-powered leap as a bonus action? And we can channel, Abundant Step is just part of your movement, so it doesn't even require a bonus action. It's just movement, unless you had a bonus action that you use to dash, which you could do with Rogue Stance. But side-powered leap, you gain a fly speed equal to twice your speed until the end of your current turn. It's exactly the same as what Abundant Step does. And once you use this for free, you have to spend a side eye to get another use back. A side eye is equal to a point of mana. When you spend a point of mana, you roll a psionic die, also known as a power die or superiority die. It's the exact same thing. The math works. All the different optimization and metagame options that we have inside of this allows you to duplicate virtually anything in the book, anything that's published for 5.5. Telekinetic Thrust, when you deal psychic damage with a weapon attack. Is that how it works, psychic damage? Is that accurate? When you deal damage to a target with your psionic strike, you can force the target to make a strength saving throw. Hold on. Let's look at the psionic strike. I think it does force damage. Psionic Strike. Your weapon can deal force or psychic damage and increases by 1 power die per level. Okay, so we need to change that. When you deal force damage with a weapon attack, because that's the modifier that we're supposed to have up here. which is force damage at 5th level. And here, Silent Strike, Mage Hand, Telekinetic Thrust, deal force damage, and when you do, you can use Push or Topple Mastery in addition to other effects. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Guarded Mind, 10. The psionic energy flowing through you has bolstered your mind. You have resistance to psychic damage. Moreover, if you start your turn charmed or frightened, you can expend 2 mana from your mana pool to end every effect on yourself, subjecting you to those conditions. And then to end any number of effects on yourself. Any number of effects on yourself, subjecting you to those conditions. So you can keep some if you want. If you want. Bulwark of Defense. As a unique third rank sustained power. Again, you tap 3 mana, and at 15th level you can have up to 4 mana tap this way. This is going to eat 3 of them. You can shield yourself and others with telekinetic force. A number of creatures up to the max rank of power you've gained as a fighter, including yourself, and at level 15 that's going to be 4, so up to 4 creatures, which includes yourself, within 30 feet of you, they all get half cover. You can change who benefits from this feature as a bonus action while the power is sustained. In addition, while this feature is active during combat, you no longer use a reaction to activate Protective Field feature, but you are limited to targeting 1 creature per turn. While this feature is active during combat, you no longer use a reaction. You can shield yourself, a number of creatures up to half max rank of power within 30 feet of yourself have cover. You can change who benefits from this power as a bonus action. In addition, while this feature is active during combat, you no longer use a reaction to activate the Protective Field feature. Oh, Protective Field. When you or another creature that you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you create a momentary shield of telekinetic energy. As a reaction, roll a power die. The damage taken is reduced by an amount equal to the roll. So you can expend, you deal at 18th level, it'll be a D10. And then I can expend at 17th level up to an extra 5 mana to protect you for up to 6d10 damage, and it requires a reaction to do that at 3rd level. But by 18th level, if you're inside my, at 15th level, if you're inside my bulwark, I can just spend mana at will to protect people from taking damage one at a time. But you are limited to targeting 1 creature per turn. So once per turn, we're limited to targeting 1 creature per turn. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so if you're inside my bulwark, anyone, including me, that takes damage, I no longer have to use my reaction to shield myself from taking damage once per turn, not per round, per 1 creature per turn. So every time I'm attacked by a creature, I can automatically reduce the amount of damage that I take from them. One per turn creature that attacks me, I can reduce it by d10 damage. And I can ramp up to 5 extra damage to continue reducing the damage. So that's really fucking good. And that's only at level 15. Level 18. This, by the way, that half cover this produces, that prevents you from being attacked by siege weapons in Spelljammer. Anytime in Spelljammer, anytime a creature smaller than 50 feet in size has cover, you cannot be targeted by siege weapons that deal like, D4 times 10 damage or more. So you cannot be targeted by them. So this Bulwark of Force provides partial cover for everybody inside that area. That means that you can't be attacked with siege weapons only small arms fire can actually attack you. That is super useful. Wow, that is super useful. It's high level, but boy, that's good. And then TK Master. You can duplicate the telekinesis spell as a sustained power, channeling 5 mana to do so. It's a sustained power. It's basically a concentration spell that doesn't require concentration. You turn it on for 5 mana and you can just leave it on, but you can't sustain anything else. While sustaining this effect, you can use a magic action and bonus action during your turn, similar to a maneuver power, to target a creature or object, but no more than one target at a time. So I could TK you twice in the same round if I wanted to, as an action bonus action. So there you go. Psy Warrior with these mechanics are really fucking cool. Sonic Extract for force damage, telekinetic feat for free, abundant step to jump around, force damage so that you can always do force damage for free. Push is a mastery, so you hit somebody, you push them up to 10 feet away. If they fail their save. Flatten, point, kneel. They automatically take damage and they automatically are prone. Defense barrier and erects an opaque full cover shield from one direction that lasts for one attack. Basically blocking you from taking damage. Shunt pushes people 10 feet, a group of people 10 feet from the center point. A number of creatures, a number of feet, and a number of 10 feet, and number of creatures equal to the amount of mana you spend at something that's 50 feet for up to 5 creatures. Celerity is a third rank sustained power. It's basically haste. You turn it on. As long as you have those 3 points of mana tapped, it's on always. If it gets dispelled, you'll have to turn it on again, but there's no stunned action hangover. And then Telekinetic Bubble at 4th rank is a maneuver. It basically duplicates the effects of an Odalic Resilient Sphere. It lasts for up to 1 minute, and they get a dexterity saving throw each turn to break, to slip out of the bubble and burst it. So that's a good set of stats. That's a really, Psy Warrior's really, really strong. If you're running 20 levels, this is a really good class to take. Holy fuck. All right, and that's the fighter. And that's the end. I'm at 9:45. Cheers. That completes the fighter and the druid. So I'm going to be back on Thursday. We're going to, that was the fighter. We're going to do the monk and the paladin on Thursday night. And then on Saturday, we'll do the ranger. And then Monday next week, we'll do rogue and sorcerer. And then we'll do on Thursday next week, warlock and wizard. And then the following Monday after that, on the 16th, we'll be back doing bashing campaigns, Spelljammer, Mecha Kaiju mechanics. And then on 19th, Thursday, we'll also do more Spelljammer and bashing campaign stuff. On Saturday the 21st, we'll do Artificer. And we'll continue doing Spelljammer on the 23rd and 26th. And then on the 28th, we'll do Warlock, finishing... sorry, I already did Warlock. I will do the Scion on Saturday the 28th. And that'll finish all 14 character classes and subclass options. That'll complete the entire series. Monday the 30th, we'll continue doing Spelljammer, Bastion mechanics. Thursday the 2nd, we'll do more Spelljammer, Mecha Kaiju, Bastion mechanics. On the 4th, we will, then on the 4th, we will begin auditing the list of powers that we have. I think they're all pretty good, but we're going to do another pass just in case. So we'll do a cleanup of powers on the 4th. And we're also going to start the Spelljammer campaign on the 4th after my stream. And then on the 6th and the 9th, we'll probably actually start rebuilding the Bastion campaign book to prepare that for production and publishing. And then on the 13th, we'll continue doing martial powers and color mana stuff. So we'll do Bastion campaign construction on the 6th and the 9th. On Mondays and Thursdays. We'll do color mana stuff on Saturdays. And as we complete pages and layouts and stuff, we'll then start doing artwork for all that stuff. Monday through Fridays in the mornings, the pages that we complete we'll then start handing it like the 14 classes or the 12 classes that we're going to cover in the core mechanics book. We'll start being able to do all the layouts of that stuff. The Artificer will be a standalone book. The Spell Point Artificer, Spell Point Sorcerer will be a standalone book. Spell Point Scion will be a standalone book. The Sorcerer will be in the core mechanics, but it's the basic version. The advanced version of the Sorcerer, where we have 25 different meta magic powers, and you can stack them, like you can stack sustained powers. You can double down, like you can do up to 5 mana worth of meta magic powers at 17th level on any spell that you cast. That's a little bit more than I want to do with the core mechanics for the Sorcerer. I want to blow that out and really dive into the meta magic of it and all the subclasses, including Wild Sorcerer and all that stuff. I want to add all that stuff into the Spellpoint Sorcerer. The Artificer won't be covering the martial power stuff here. The martial power stuff is covered in this martial powers book, but I want to do all the subclasses for the Artificer in the Spellpoint Artificer book standing alone. So we'll be able to start building those out and publishing them as we work through all the pages moving forward. So keep an eye out for that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here for now, get some sleep, come back in the morning, continue working on our Bob Ross painting that we've been doing in the morning. I love doing Bob Ross paintings in Photoshop. It's so fun making landscape painting using that wet on wet technique with digital tools. Swing by and check it out. It's super fun. And then I'll be back Monday through Friday. We're doing that artwork in the morning, and then Thursday night I'll be back, and we'll continue working on, like I said, the monk and the paladin, and then we'll salute forth from there. So hey, thanks a lot to everybody that's been checking out the channel. I appreciate you all coming by, saying hi, hanging out with me, Forge and others. Yeah, I'll see you all in the morning. Like, subscribe, blah blah blah. See you then. Cheers.